Ladies and gentlemen of the old world, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to tonight's single faction tournament. We got a pretty nice competitive set of players playing. Going to be finding our first match to cast right now, and we'll be getting into game one. No real restrictions, just the Thunder Tusk and Pavane of Slaanesh are really the mainline things that are being restricted here today. And we're going to be doing Attack Speed Enjoyer versus Hitman Hippo. All right, let's do that. Lobby code, please. And we do have Anticity playing tonight as well. I believe he's probably streaming, so that's very, very fun. So we'll try and cast some of his games as well. We'll cast your match. Hey, we got 2 new channel members. One of the names I can't read for some reason, which is strange. But then we also have Kyle. Thank you for becoming a channel member. Greatly appreciate it. Mabel says, I just sat down with dinner and see you're starting streaming. Perfect evening. It will be a good time. We're going to do it. Iseni Raider, thank you for resubscribing as well. We have arrived. It's been a very fun week. We, of course, had the big Lord of the Rings tournament yesterday, and today we're back to the classics, back to the Total Warhammer. Let me message Hitman Hippo 2. Hitman Hippo, lobby, code, please. All right, so we're going to get that going. Should be all set. Everyone's got their opponents for the first round. And let's see who's playing who. Yeah, looks pretty good to me. All right, so we got the lobby code. Got it from Hippo. It's like some weird birds that have like nested outside my window. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I'm going to taking crazy pills here. All right, so there we are. And here we go, making magic decks. Oh, dude, that's probably my favorite part about Commander. I mean, I love playing the game a lot. But man, oh man, do I love just the deck building process. Like, I'll build a Commander deck, play it like twice, and then take it apart. How many of you guys are the same way? Like, I have a lot of friends who make Commander decks, and they never, they update them, over time or whatever, right? But they don't necessarily ever take them apart. So they'll have like 30 decks. I'm the kind of person who just makes a deck, plays it for like a month, and then just takes it apart and builds a new one. Yeah. Is anybody else the same way? I don't know. I usually only have like 3 or 4 decks at once, and I'm constantly taking them apart and rebuilding them. It's fun to have it like all laid out on the table in front of you and just scheme the strategies with the resources you have. It's great. Hey, Jake, welcome, man. Welcome, welcome. So we got Vampire Counts in game 1. We don't know what they're going to be playing against quite yet. Attack Speed Enjoyer is booting up the game. Everybody else should be in the tournament here. And cool. So we got 6 rounds today. There's going to be 6 games casted in total. This is the first. Ooh, Beastmen versus Vampire Counts. That's actually fun. Maybe we're going to see the Sword and Board Blood Knights. Probably not. But if anything, you'd probably see the Lance Blood Knights here because of how effective they'd be against like Minotaurs. Yeah. Yeah, you loved brewing decks. You picking up any of the Cathay minis? I do have some interest in maybe doing some Cathay. We'll see. When I see the balancing patch, like the FAQ or whatever they're doing, because Games Workshop is doing some sort of a balancing pass on competitive play, like match play. When I see that, I'm going to decide if I want to invest more in old world stuff. Yeah, and then we can go from there. Jabber Scythe against Vampire Counts. I think there's better options probably for the Beastmen, but I don't know. We'll see. Probably if you're going to see a big monster, it would be the Bloodroot Behemoth because it heals itself, which is really good. It's anti-large, so it can take down Crypt Horrors and Mortis Engines and Vampire Lords on Dragons and, Strigoi Ghoul King, like whatever, right? You're probably going to be seeing if you're seeing a big monster, but I would imagine Beastmen will go wider. Centaurs with throwing axes, Centaur mobility, Ungor Raiders, like cheap front line just to tar pit the zombies and while the Raiders shoot with like a Traderkin caster to punish blobs. Like that's more what I would expect from Beastmen, but Attack Speed Enjoyer is like a high micro kind of guy. The way he plays, he usually doesn't play blobby play styles. He's very, very mobility focused. A lot of like high micro units like Sisters of Thorn. Yeah, no, I agree, Maximilianer. I think the Arwar Gorgon it's been good against vampire counts for what, 6 years? 5, 6 years, however long it's been out. Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah, man. So Count Games in chat saying, I played my first game of Old World with the dragon on the table last weekend, and it ended up being the only thing that mattered. Yeah, literally like a 600 point. So in Warhammer the Old World, you have 2,000 point armies typically, right? A 600 point Chaos Lord and a Dragon with the most optimal setup is basically going to be able to solo like most casual armies. Like if you don't bring, like you could literally put 2,000 points of casual Empire against like a Chaos Lord and a Dragon, and the Dragon's probably going to win. Or trade, or like uber effectively against it. Like it's pretty obscene. They really need to balance that game. It's a shame because the setting is so cool, but the rules are, or the balancing is really bad. Can we get a rap battle between, what? I don't even know what that is. Hey, welcome, Can Beans. Yeah, you made it, dude. You're here. Yeah, we're just getting started. Very first game. Then can they change banners though? I mean, I guess Beastmen are easy enough to tell apart from the Vampire Counts, but Attack Speed Enjoyer literally picks the banner that looks most similar to the Vampire Count one. Oh man. All right, well, we're gonna see what's cooking. We will see. Yeah, I hope they do a balancing pass though, because I love the setting of Warhammer the Old World. I have 4 armies. I really enjoy the game, but it's just I like to play semi-competitively, and when you're doing that, people are going to play optimally, right? Like sure, you can have your friends tone down their lists and not bring dragons and things like that, but I like to play at tournaments. So for me, it's you gotta deal with that problem. You built a monster killer demon prince that didn't even do anything. Yeah, well, it's like I play Empire, for example, right? So I've shown up to yeah, I remember from old Warhammer rules too. Yeah, no, Hero Hammer has always been kind of a thing in various editions from what I've heard. But like for example, if you're playing Empire against Warriors of Chaos, I bring three cannons in my list, which should in theory just dunk on a dragon, right? But like these dragons, they have a 2-up save, either a 2 or 3-up, depending on the faction, if it's High Elves or Chaos. But let's say a 2-up, 5-up, 5-up, right? So I hit them. You have to go through a bunch of steps to hit them with the cannon. And if I hit them with the cannon, which is already tricky with all the scatter dice and, well, not scatter dice, but just the artillery dice and stuff, they then get 3 chances to roll a single 5 to mitigate the damage my cannon is doing. So like it's pretty obscene. The odds of actually hurting a dragon even with like weaponry that's designed to kill it is so bad. And then if they just move the dragon forward, you shoot your cannons, you don't wound it, it's just going to get in your lines and start rampaging and terrorizing everything and just ruining your entire day. And you can't shoot things that are in melee with cannons, right? So if it gets tied up in melee with your units, you're not going to be able to shoot it. So it's going to be tricky. Yeah. All right, guys. Enough about the old world. Tabletop. Now we are in the digital old world, which is a much more balanced game. Total War Warhammer. We have 24 playable factions, and honestly, the balance is pretty good. I mean, there are a couple outliers here and there, but yeah, man, we're going. Let's get it done. Loading into Lost Temple of Sotek is going to be the map, a map which doesn't like shooting. Cannons, direct fire, powder, war wagons, whatever it may be. None of that stuff is exceptionally good on this map because of the heavily wooded kind of tree lines here. So you can see here, we got the woodlands here. So trying to shoot here is tricky. If you can position like Ungor Raiders and loads here shooting around, they can definitely find some opportunities. But yes, we got a question in chat from the great William, the Chad who does all the timestamps on our videos. Yes, the Green Knight is probably one of the most broken things in tabletop. He is so obnoxious to play against. Bretonnia is already probably the strongest army. Bretonnia, Warriors of Chaos are, I think, maybe some of the strongest armies in tabletop. I haven't played in tournaments in a couple months, but when I was playing, Bretonnia, Warriors of Chaos, and High Elves were winning most of the tournaments I was going to because Warriors of Chaos and High Elves have OP dragons, and Bretonnia has some of the most busted units in the game between their characters with 360 charge radiuses and the Pegasus Knights. It's pretty nuts. Oh, it's Professor Pone. The goat is here. All right, all right. Taking a look here at the armies of the Vampire Count. It's going to be a front line of zombies, backed up by the Necromancers with the Forbidden Rods, which apparently these things are bugged, but not in a good way, right? Not bugged, but they accidentally cost more than they should. With the recent patch and some of the item changes, I think there was some weird thing with the Forbidden Rod that makes them cost like 200 more, so bit of a penalty there. But it is going to be 2 Necromancers of the Forbidden Rods, Corpse Carts, Cryptors, and Heinrich Kemmler is going to be laughing all the way to the bank. He's going to be using Invocation of Nehek to raise the dead, and to heal the dead and raise them, technically speaking, and then actual raise dead, which is very good against beastmen. You know, Centaur's coming in on your flank, you drop a raise dead on top of them, traps them in place, they lose a ton of models, all that kind of good stuff, right? So this is going to be the army of Count Chocula. Now, on the other side, it is going to be Attack Speed Enjoyer and the Bray Herd. We have the Gore Herds with dual weapons, a very good choice for buzzsawing through zombies and skeletons. They hit incredibly hard. Not the best leadership in the world, but they have a high weapon strength at 42 with a cute little bonus for infantry. More Gore Herds on the outside. Korok's Man Rippers, so Arwar best the Gore Herd. These guys are an anti-large unit, but they can do well enough against infantry. They have a good stat line and can definitely grind against like Cryptors and whatnot. Malagor, the Dark Omen, going to be spamming Flock of Doom, so the Mighty Pigeon, the Red Bull Bird, is going to be flying about and dropping fat Flock of Dooms on the Vampiric Blobs, which is very cost-effective as well. And I could have sworn I saw some Gore Bulls in the build. Okay. So, it is going to be the dreaded Gore Bulls. Yes, they are on the way up. Gore Bulls are excellent anti-large fighters. If they can get their clutches on Corpse Cards, Cryptors, anything like that, even Heinrich Kemmler, they can do some nice work for sure. All right, guys. Advancing up are the Bray Herds. We do see objective number 2 going to the Beastmen, and the side objective going to be going to the Beastmen as well. Malagor actually getting a little bit crunk nasty here. Going to be landing on the ground and going after ye old Heinrich. Oh, but he pops the Cloak of Mist and Shadows. Extra sneaky. I mean, kind of baited him into popping that, but yeah, could be worse. Yeah, Cringe Dan, we will. We will indeed. All right, guys. So we do see the Gore Bulls of Attack Speed Enjoyer wanting to pop forward, but they do not want to get tar pitted in cheap chaff skeleton spears. They're going to have a very bad time if these... what was that movie from like the 70s? It was Jason and the Argonauts. You remember the way that the skeletons move in that? It's like how the Vampire Count skeletons move in this game as well. Hey, Nitro, welcome, man. I appreciate that. Ask me that question after the game is over, because I'm going to be a little bit focused on commentary right now, so please wait to ask me that in between games. I'll be able to answer you in great detail, my friend. All right, so the battle is on, and the Vampiric Blob is going to be moving forward. So here they come, Skeletons and Cryptors. Looks like they're not going to be contesting the outside flank, which makes sense. The Vampiric army wants to stay together, get the benefit of the Corpse Cart, and really have those nice synergies of fighting in a big formation, which Vampire Counts typically do. So they're not going to be playing the outside objective. Rather, they're going to be just like pushing over towards objective 2 and seeing if they can take the ground. So Gore Herds versus Skeletons. Going to be clashing in the front line. The Gore Herds should be able to mash them up pretty good. Flock of Doom going down. You can see the little flock birds flying overhead, doing a little bit of damage. And now we do see ye old Gore Bull moving into the Cryptors. And classic Gore Bull's just getting punted over by everything, which is hilarious. But he is now on his proper target. Gore Bull is going to get his big battle axe out, and he is going to start hitting the Cryptors and some of the other units nearby. But yeah, getting him on Cryptors, he should be able to methodically cut through those models. On the outside of the formation, Gore Herds engaging versus zombies. Cryptors should be able to counter them. Korok's Man Ripper is going to be pulling back to hold up on that objective. Gore Herd here should be able to beat these Skeleton Spearmen despite the support of the Corpse Cart right there. But a big blob fight, that's kind of what the Vampire Counts want, right? I can't help but feel that this is exactly what the vampires are cackling about. They have their Necromancers here, they have their synergy, a lot of the Corpse Carts moving in, which are going to be buffing everything. And sure, their front line of zombies is going to get killed pretty quickly by these guys, but then there's going to be a whole nother wave coming in, which is going to be very, very tough for sure. On the backside here, Cryptors getting bonked by the Gore Bull. Gore Bull doing some nice work, not taking much damage. Looks like a big Flock of Doom is going to be coming down, so that big AoE spell going to be hitting most of the Vampire Count army. While on the other side, Gore Herds have gotten through the Skeleton Spearmen, and the Gore Herds here are being defeated by the Cryptors to no one's surprise. And it looks like they're going to be retreating back to the objective. So this is a very good play. Realizing he's losing this fight, he retreats them back and pulls in the Halberd unit to then re-engage against the Cryptors. And if his opponent doesn't notice that these are Korok's Man Rippers, which are a designated kind of anti-large raid boss unit that the Beastmen have access to, the Cryptors are going to get destroyed in combat. But he does realize it, and you can see that Hitman Hippo is going to be pulling back, disengaging there, and making the dreams happen. So I think that the Beastmen realize maybe they're not having as much success pushing the vampire counts back as they like. So they start to call in some Centaurs with throwing axes. So Centaurs with throwing axes are really good against a number of things on the vampiric roster, but typically some of the bigger threats. Heinrich Kemmler summons some zombies here. So the Cackling Necromancer, this is a great play, by the way. Summoning a zombie in the secondary field. And what this does is it allows you to push the throwing axes away. You basically skip the opponent's entire front line. You get zombies back here. And now these Centaurs, they're wasting ammunition because they have auto fire on. They're wasting ammunition into the zombies. So this is a brilliant play right there. Very, very good stuff. Flock of Doom going down. But remember, the Beastmen do actually have a pretty soft front line. I mean, they have pretty elite units. We saw some Bestigors get called in. Now, Bestigors do get countered by Cryptors, but they're going to be able to bash the rest of the units pretty well. And yeah, they got good stopping power. In the secondary field, let's take a look at the flank. So we do see Objective 3 being owned by the Beastmen, and they were able to win some of these fights out on the flank here. Now they're going to be moving in, trying to steal the Vampire Count's home objective. Meanwhile, Malagor the Dark Omen getting busy. I mean, he's not a terrible fighter. 52 melee attack, 400 weapon strength. If he's going after like corpse carts and squishier elements in the Vampire Count roster, he can definitely do some work. And the Gorbel's actually able to find Heinrich Kemmler back here, so he's getting hunted by double Giga Chad Gorbel. The Gorbel's probably going to stand and fight. They do get pinned down by Cryptors, but yeah, Heinrich Kemmler took some damage from the Overcast as well. So very, very nice getting him down and getting him low. So value is favoring the Beastmen, obviously, but the massive amounts of healing the Vampire Counts do have is pretty much going to be mitigating that value that you do see. Good usage of the zombie summons. They're being summoned perpetually in the secondary field here to block up the Centaurs with throwing axes. But the Beastmen are now in a position where they're threatening this point here. Now, one thing that's really unfortunate for the Vampire Counts is the fact that they don't have a Mortis engine. If the Vampire Counts had a Mortis engine in here just rubbing its fat sausage all over the face of the Beastmen, it would really have just ended this fight a long time ago, but alas, he does not have it. So looking back here, Vampire Counts do stabilize their objective, calling in some elite infantry of their own now. We do see the Graveguard. Graveguard are really good. They beat pretty much all the Beastmen infantry except the Bestigors. And Pestigors will trade okay into them, but they'll still win that particular fight. So Goreherd's going to be charging in. But the Graveguard, the elite of the Vampire Counts, are going to be able to hold them back. They have an anti-infantry bonus, they have high armor, incredibly stalwart, and just one of the better infantry units, I think. They're just very, very good for what they are. And looking at the blob fight in the woods, I really wish they had picked slightly different banners. They certainly did not make this easy on all of us. But here, we do see the Beastmen getting worn down a little bit. Cryptor still hanging, but on the flank, the Koroks Manrippers have moved in. So those elite Halberd Beastmen units have gotten in on the side, and you can see some of the Cryptors here are now crumbling. So that animation you see on the Cryptors, that like disintegrating dust, that is basically when they go below leadership. That's what happens to undead characters. They crumble instead of running. So yeah, they take damage over time. Whereas like a human unit might break and run, then you could rally them, and they're going to have the same HP they had when they like ran away, right? More or less. Of course, they're going to take some damage on the retreat. But Koroks Manripper is doing well, and actually it kind of looks like this flank is collapsing the Vampire Count's position into the woods a little bit. The Koroks Manrippers are doing quite a bit of work, and you have to remember this entire time the Beastmen have had the objective advantage. So attack speed Enjoyer has been cackling here and here, whereas back here the Vampire Counts have only been sitting on one objective. And taking this blob fight in the woods, it almost makes me think that they should have taken the fight over here on Objective 3, so at least they're fighting for an objective and maybe threatening a capture on that objective, right? But fighting in the woods where there's no real estate other than maybe advancing on Objective 2, which is incredibly hard to take, right? Like the Beastmen have tons of Vanguard options to come in here and support this objective. Very, very tough indeed. All right, so back in the pit fight, we do see the vampires crumbling down. Skeleton Spears, Cryptors are going down. Graveguard have now moved in, being rear charged by the Sons of Goro, so a very cost-effective armor-piercing unit, by the way. So it looks like they're able to find their way around the back of the formation, get a nice surround there. Vampire Counts do manage to get their objective stable, but they're really running out of time. I mean, the value, I would say Vampire Counts, yeah, with 7.1 against 8.9. It's not probably tracking Flock of Dooms also, though. But it's a closer game than you would think. The Vampire Counts are going to get a second win because they have an obscene amount of healing, right? So they're going to be able to cause some serious havoc. And little plays like this is very, very good. Hitman Hippo's got to move up and get this. And it looks like his Gambit in the Forest may pay off, as we do see the Beastmen getting a little bit flimsier here because now the elite Vampiric Infantry are arriving, right? So it's looking like maybe a comeback opportunity for the Vampire Counts. And this is like what their whole game plan is, just bumping and grinding. But is he going to be able to hang against the mobility of the Beastmen, right? The mass mobility of the Centaurs swarming onto the point, threatening a capture right there with Malagor. Beastmen definitely need to get a Centaur over here and stabilize Objective 3. They really don't want to lose that. If they give the Vampire Counts any breathing room, it's going to be a really bad time. So Centaurs are throwing axes are kiting the Dire Pack. Dire Pack is excellent here, and we can see Skeleton Spears coming in. Centaurs turn around, take the charge. Malagor, the Dark Pigeon, going to be flying down all jacked on Red Bull and bonking some of those dogs on the head. And it looks like the Centaurs should be able to win that fight against Dire Pack, but they're going to take some casualties in the process. The Vampire attrition really getting in there, ladies and gentlemen. The reinforcing Graveguard buffering it up. We have the Necromancers. We have Heinrich Kemmler with his Chaos Tombblade, which of course does resurrect nearby undead units, which is really, really strong. And the Dire Pack does get taken down. Centaur is able to get that. They are crumbling at -35. And now here's this objective going to be going to Count Chocula. It is the Vampire Counts with the sneaky, able to get the Crypt Ghouls, the little golems. These guys are basically the Schmeagles of this game. But they do manage to stabilize the objective for the undead. Zombies are going to be arriving on the point, which is basically 12,000 HP of ablative wounds for your good units. But now the Centaur Onslaught is going to be in full effect, as we do see Centaurs with Great Weapons move in, Throwing Axes move in. They might be able to reclaim this objective, but man, this is a big momentum loss right there. A big momentum loss. And the Vampires are all but winning in the front line here. Gorbles are still alive. Heinrich Kemmler almost dead, actually. Wow. The two Gorbles going spec ops and trying to take him down. Got him to 800 HP, but didn't finish the job. Heinrich Kemmler cackling away once again. And we do see the big old bulls on parade. Going to be dropping some fat hammers on the Cryptors here, as well as the zombies, but they're probably going to go down. This one has 1,000 HP. This one has about 600. Cryptors are good enough against them. With the zombies in there as well, it's going to be a bad time for them. So the Beastmen do stabilize the outside objective here. It looks like they are able to get it using their Centaurs, but now they need to make sure they don't lose their home objective. Goreherd's on their way up. Very tight game we have here, ladies and gentlemen. The fact that, I mean, if Heinrich Kemmler had died there, the game was probably over. I think that the Beastmen would have probably found a way to win it just with the leadership penalty. More and more Gores coming in, so Goreherd's going to be battling versus Graveguard. Going to be a pretty terrible fight for them. Graveguard are basically a counter. They have the armor and the anti-infantry and Cryptors moving in as well. So the Beastmen infantry position here not going to have a good time, but where is he going to go with this big mobile core? The Beastmen were able to reclaim Objective 3. They got a lot of mobility coming in. I don't think they can really threaten Objective 1. There are Skeleton Spears here, 2 of them. We got Cryptors, and now we have Graveguard Halberds on their way in as well. So the Graveguard Halberds are very good at holding this position. They're going to be tough. Nice Flock of Doom right there, but I think for the Beastmen, maybe just swarming on the back of this position and trying to stabilize your home objective is going to be the way, because Vampire Counts actually just took the home objective, so the grindiness of the Vampire Counts really paying big dividends here. Side objective is owned. This is a very close one right here. Now the Centaur Blob is going to move in and actually fight all the chaff units. Those are Skeleton Spears. Not going to be easy. Attack Speed Enjoyer just doing a little bit of cycle charging, so he moves in there. Does get a nice little razzle-dazzle charge on those guys. More reinforcements on the way. Heinrich Kemmler's being hunted, actually, by Malagor the Dark Omen. He's going for that kill. This is a really good game. Okay, he does get bonked on the head by the Chaos Bird. -30 leadership. Heinrich Kemmler is going to start crumbling, most likely. He's crumbling. He's at -6. His HP is diminishing very rapidly. If he dies, that's a huge win for the Beastmen. That would maybe allow them to get back in the game. He's at 121 HP, 97 HP. The Necromancer is crumbling right now, ladies and gentlemen. He's looking very tough. And down he goes. So Malagor the Dark Omen able to get the job done. So now the entire Vampiric army is going to be -16 leadership, which is really brutal. It means they're going to crumble a lot easier. Centaurs come in to help out against the Graveguard, but this is still a very nasty brick of vampires to deal with. The freaking Corpse Cart buffing up the Graveguard and the Cryptors is so freaking nasty. All right, on the outside, double Smeagol on the way in, and the mobility of the Beastmen is going to have to come and deal with this. You can't let these Smeagols grab that objective. You're going to have a really bad time if they do. A couple tattered Beastmen units, including the Koroks Bannerper, is going to be heading to that point here. And it's a tight one, guys. As it currently stands, the Beastmen would win on just one objective, but that would flip very quickly if he's able to get this point. So Centaurs do find the Smeagol's, and they are able to get in there, so the Crypt Ghouls do get run down by Centaurs. Their melee defense is only 25. They're really weak against Shock Cavalry. Crypt Ghouls are good at grinding down like chaff infantry, but when it comes to getting run over by like high charge bonus cavalry units as well as archers, that's where they really have a bad time. Alright, so Crypt Ghouls probably both going to be dying here, and now the Beastmen are going to be forming a Helm's Deep on objective number 3. So a good metric is, like, if he gets 1,250 points before his opponent gets 1,000, then you know you can win on just one objective. That's like a really easy kind of mental math way of doing it, and you can use similar metrics for some lower intervals as well. But yeah, guys, the Helm's Deep is on. The Beastmen going to be forming up ranks here. Malagor is going to be flying back and across. The Undead calling in waves and waves of units, and there's going to be an unholy amount of Undead coming to the objective from all over the map. It's going to be basically like a zombie apocalypse survival, as we see massive waves of the dead, knowing that they need to go and eat and feast on some prime rib steak over here on Objective 3. So that's going to be the plan. The gamer posture of the Crypt Ghouls, that's so true. That is so true. Calling in Gorbel's a really weird choice. He's expensive, doesn't bring much capture weight to the table at this point. I think you would want to send him to Objective 3. I don't think fighting over objective 2 is going to be a good idea. I think just Helm's Deeping is your best bet right now. Use your mobility and your cavalry to intercept the Vampiric. This is, by the way, S tier play. Using your mobility to stop the reinforcements from getting up to the objectives is so freaking good. And just like harrying them and intercepting them, it's one of the things that really shows domination as like a classic RTS in some ways. It's still a hybrid RTS, but like it's one of the elements that is very similar to old school RTSs. Like in Age of Empires, somebody's rushing you with longbows while you intercept their reinforcements with your horsemen, right? And same goes for like StarCraft, right? If you have like Mutalisks and your Terran or Protoss opponent is trying to like get reinforcements in, but you can't take them in a head-on fight, intercept their reinforcements, equalize the fight in your base, etc., etc. All right, so the battle is on, ladies and gentlemen, and we do see the undead arriving at the point. So the first of the skeleton spears are here, as well as the necromancer. And on the backside, we do see the chariots coming in. So the beastmen are going to be calling in chariots. All right, there they go. So Razorgore chariots are kind of an okay counter against Graveguard. They should be able to chew through their armor, but if there's a Cryptor nearby, the Cryptors can counter them. So we'll see how that works out. But 1357 on the points, so the beastmen need to hold this objective for a couple more minutes here. Not going to be easy, that's for sure, because the undead are coming in waves. A Dire Pack being intercepted by Malagor, so he was able to find that right there. And ladies and gentlemen, the final battle is upon us, and it looks like the Beastmen are going to be forsaking this objective. They're not reinforcing it. You see how there's no Beastmen reinforcements coming for this point? Rather, they're going to be alpha striking objective 2, using the new chariot they just called in, the Gorble. So there was a plan to that Gorble. There was a scheme, there was an intention, and it is in the process of flipping to the vampire counts right now, whereas this one of the Beastmen, whereas objective number 3 is flipping back to the vampire counts as they summon an unholy legion over there. I mean, he only needs 100 victory tickets to win. So Centaurs do arrive. Goreherds are here as well. Razorgore Chariot trying to chew them down. But if this Graveguard Halberd gets here on time, that's going to be game blouses for sure. But the objective is slipping very, very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. The Vampiric capture weight on this point is crumbling. The Dire Pack is going down. The Graveguard are pretty close to crumbling as well. They're at -4 leadership. We do see a Pestigore coming over to the point with Vanguard. Definitely using Malagor to intercept some of the reinforcements and some Centaurs to block and sacrifice into those Halberds would be a very, very good play. But it looks like he's going to get it. Man, oh man, he's getting it. Is he going to get the capture? It looks like he is, but the vampire counts are coming with some good stopping power. We have the Graveguard, we have the Cryptor, and now Count Chocula has gotten it, and he wins on just 1 point here. This is a really, really good game, ladies and gentlemen. Super, super close. So vampires are in critical binding here, but the Graveguard Halberd's going to be nasty. Cryptors arriving, skeletons, massive amounts of reinforcements. And that's a lot of vampires, guys. I don't know. Is he going to be able to stop all this? What does he have in reinforcements himself? I would imagine another Centaur is going to be called in. As Pestigores do arrive, Corpse Guards being taken down. Cryptors are also crumbling as well. Centaurs getting a nice rear charge on those guys. And Malagor the Dark Omen, talk about being a little combat character this game. Oh man, capture weight still favors the Beastmen, but it is very, very close. When a couple more units arrive, it's probably going to go to the vampire counts. But they only have 40 seconds to try and get this, guys. They only have 40 seconds. Attack speed Enjoyer needs to make his glorious Helm's Deep here. But there it goes, starts flipping, but then stabilized by the Beastmen. They do have the home field advantage in this situation as some of the Goreherds do arrive on the back point. And now there's only going to be 25 seconds left here in the game, ladies and gentlemen. What a glorious cockfight we have between these two individuals. But I think the Beastmen got this one. Only 20 seconds left. Chariots running through some of the reinforcing spears. And really good back and forth match. Like, it kind of looked like the Undead were losing, but then they scrapped back. Their grind was able to get the value back, but the Beastmen able to use their mobility to alpha strike various objectives and just play that positional game very, very well. GG, well played. What a close match. Attack speed Enjoyer going to be clutching the first game as the Beastmen, this Beastmen's very excited up here flying in the sky. But the Beastmen do get it done. GG, well played. Really, really fun match. All right, so I know there was a couple people who had questions. Now is a good time for questions in between games because we probably have some downtime between now and the next round. So this is going to be the best time for those. Honestly, good match. I think that the Mortis Engine just was needed. A Mortis Engine would have I think if he had brought a Mortis Engine in, it would have just easily won the game. Like, the Beastmen army had very little answers for the Mortis outside of throwing axes, and, I think that, well, I guess Gorbals too. Mortis would have been pretty clutch, I think. All right. Well, ask your question again. I need you to type it out because it's very far up in chat right now. Yes, yes. Scab Scraith would have been very good too on White Kings. Yeah, that's also true. GG, well played. No crazy value. Cryptors did pretty good. Cernsman got 1,500 value. No Giga Chad Blood Knights here also. Blood Knights aren't bad here. They can do some work. Okay. I chose to play Nurgle. It's kind of a lower end faction, but I play Death Guard in 40k tabletop, so I decided to stick with Nurgle. Same as me. I play Death Guard in tabletop also. Do you have any tips for playing Nurgle in multiplayer? Oh, yes, I do, my friend. I have an entire guide on YouTube on how to play Nurgle competitively. So if you go to YouTube or my channel and you type in Nurgle guide, you're going to find a guide where I give you a build for every single matchup, and then I explain how to play those matchups. So that's one of the few factions I do have a guide on. Yeah. Also, remember my guide is going to be focused around domination mode. Domination mode is the competitive game mode, which was made by Creative Assembly specifically for like competitive play. So remember, it's going to be focused on that. It's also their official multiplayer competitive mode that they use for all their major tournaments and whatnot. So yeah, if it's going to be focused on that and like the more competitive side of things. If you're looking for land battle stuff, I can recommend some other channels as well. But we're just here for domination stuff. So, all right, that was a great game. GG, well played. And now we're going to wait for the round to be over, and we're going to be moving on to the next round here as soon as everybody's finished. Let's refresh the brackets. Oh shit, that was a really fast round. Shout out to all the homies for that. Wow, awesome. Awesome, awesome. Okay, and did somebody drop here? I don't think so. I think we're chilling. And now we're going to advance the Swiss. All right, we're going to the next round. Oh, Pone, dude, I wish you could have played in yesterday's tournament. It was so much fun. It was a 6-hour, 7-hour tournament, though. It was pretty balls deep. All right, round 2 is live. Goblins, round 2. All right. Yeah, Nitro, it depends if you're looking what like game mode you want to focus on. Do you want to focus on like competitive domination, or are you looking for like land battle? You just need to let me know, and I can give you recommendations, of course. Okay. So let's cast an Anticity game. That's going to be fun. We'll see what he's up to. He's always got like the most evil schemes, you know? Okay. Yeah, so if you're more focused on land battles, my guide isn't going to help you because there's some elements that'll help you, but it's really focused on domination mode. Yeah. So land battle lobby code, please. Anticity's got his lobby code there. Awesome sauce. Do this and do that. I would have came in with some sweet 0-2 set. No, you would have won some games, Pone. Subutai won a couple matches. I think he won 2 games in the tournament yesterday, and then he had to drop or was defeated. But yeah, he had a good run. High Elves, okay. So yeah, Nitro. So one of my old friends that I've been friends with for a long time who does great land battle stuff is Dob Plays. You can check him out. He's been doing land battle so back in the day, yeah, we were all doing land battle back then because it was all we had. But Dov is great. He's a really cool guy. He does some tournaments, mainly battle replays. I don't think he hosts too many events. You can of course check out Human Boy as well. He does a lot of land battle stuff too. So that yeah, there's a handful of folks who still do land battle stuff. All right, let's get it, man. He's High Elves tonight. That's exciting. Let's see if he can break the High Elves open. We're going to be seeing High Elves versus, I doubt B6 is playing Bretonnia. B6 is very much an enjoyer of Skaven, which would be very, very fun to see as well. But we'll find out. They're doing their map pick and bans right now, by the way. Yeah, sounds good, Nitro. Great, man. Oh, by the way, yeah, check out Anticity too. He's great, but he does domination mode. Yeah, he does domination mode. Subutai is a sweat lord, though. Nah. I mean, yeah, Pony, I think you're probably stronger at Lord of the Rings than he is. You would have been fine. Yeah, Nurgle is all about suffering. You have to acknowledge that you're going to suffer before you play them, and then you just kind of go through with it. Yeah. I'll probably start with land battles and move to this. Honestly, Nitro, they're pretty different games. You know, I would it depends on what your end goal is. You know, do you want to be like a tournament player who plays in like big events with like big prize pools and whatnot? Or are you looking just for more like niche stuff? It really depends because they are different games. I mean, unit, you'll still learn what the units are capable of, but it's a very different system. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, no, domination is land battles. I think has a more fun like visuals. Like seeing 2 armies just clash on a field is fun, but it runs into issues with the rules and having to have like player-made rules to enforce attacking and things like that, and like not being able to use, like you're not allowed to use the edge of the map, obviously, which makes sense. You want to begin with the casual experience pretty much? I mean, domination is casual too, though. Like, we have a very good casual scene. Yeah, very good casual scene. We have beginner tournaments for both domination and conquest mode. If you're going to do land battle, I would recommend conquest mode. That one I think is superior. Yeah. Hey, Fenrir, what's up? So we got High Elves versus Skaven. This is going to be fun. Ooh, let's freaking get it. What do you think about John Jones retiring? So I was never a huge fan of John Jones simply because of his out of the ring stuff. I always liked MMA fighters who kind of seemed to be good role models and just good people in general. Yeah, I don't know. I was never a big John Jones fan. I mean, you can't deny his abilities. The guy is an insane fighter, but I really wish he had fought Tom Aspinall, right? Because that would have been fun. Because, when he was coming up, a lot of older champions fought him and gave him opportunities, but he didn't extend the same thing to the guys when he got a little bit older. And granted, he's not, I think he's only like 32 or something, right? Yeah. Do you guys have those? Yeah, join our Discord, Nitro. If we have a mod in Twitch, you could drop a link for our boy Nitro here. Join our Discord, find some beginner tournaments, play with people in there. It is the Total Tavern map pack. Yes. Yeah, it's fun. Anticity is using forbidden tech this tourney. He's always using forbidden tech. Everything Anticity does is forbidden. Yeah, everything he does. Let's get it, man. Let's have some fun. There we go. All right. Yeah, join up in there. And if you have any questions, you can always direct message me. I am one of the few Nurgle mains out there who've won a couple tournaments with Nurgle. It's their Anticity has won with Nurgle too. I don't know who else has won with Nurgle recently, but if you do have questions, let me know. Yes. Yeah, literally everything Anticity does is forbidden. That is so true. High Elves versus Skaven. So I could give you guys a look at like what the old meta looked like in this matchup, but like I straight up don't even know what he's gonna do. He plays this game so differently than other people. He's our defending world champion, by the way. So this player, the High Elf player you guys are watching right now, is the defending world champion in Total War Competitive. So he is the #1 ranked player because he won the most recent major event. Okay. Yeah. You're used to suffering from playing the beginning of 10th edition 40k with Death Guard. Me too, man. And now we're feasting. Death Guard are like the strongest faction right now in the game, so we get our business. I don't know what he's up to. I don't know what he's doing. Skaven vs. High Elves is gonna be great, epic, yes, all day. Oh yeah, Death Guard and Tabletop are so freaking fun right now. My favorite detachment to play for Death Guard, I love the Poxwalker detachment because it allows you to run Poxwalkers as battle line and then you get free Poxwalkers. Oh my god. Yeah. Kyle talking some mixed martial arts. I liked watching Stephen Thompson fight. He was very fun. Yeah, he unfortunately, I don't think he never got championship, right? He was close. Kind of a bit of a gatekeeper in some ways, but Stephen Thompson's just a great person and his fighting style is really fun to watch too. Cathay is incredibly hard to play competitively, but Romulus Legion. So if you look back like a month ago, Anticity here, the #1 player, he was winning tournaments with Grand Cathay playing these crazy styles. So he was using Mass Jade Lancers with Mass Crowmen, and then he would dive and harass your opponent's backfield super hard while using Crane Gunners to shoot you from the other side of the map. It's a crazy micro-intensive playstyle, but man, did he make it work. And he was like making Cathay look like an S-tier faction when he was playing them, so yeah. Wild times. Okay, nothing about this High Elf build looks crazy, by the way. I was expecting like 30 cavalry units, but this is legit the most normal looking, although the White Lines of Grace are a little bit off meta, but yeah, this is like nothing. Oh, Mighty Mouse is one of my favorite fighters of all time. I'm a big fan. When he was still fighting, I was a big fan of DC, watching Daniel Cormier fight. I just like watching him like ragdoll people around. And then if we're talking like old fighters, old school, I loved watching Mirko Cro Cop just head kick people. That was like some of the most savage shit ever. All right. So let's get it, guys. Last question I'll answer before we get into the game here. So I run like 190 Poxwalkers. I run the Blight drones with the heavy Blight launchers, 2 units of 3 Death Shroud Terminators. I run a brick of 10 Blight Lord Terminators. Lord of Contagion, Typhus. Man, what else am I missing? I can't remember off the top of my head. Check his spells? Okay, we're going to check his spells. We need to see what the forbidden tech is from the Kraken King, because nothing looked terribly forbidden there. So we're going to need to jump in and see what homie's doing. Yeah, we will get to the bottom of it today. Keith Hackney, that's really old. He was like one of the guys who fought in the first UFCs. Wasn't he the guy who came in with like a mullet? Like, I remember like renting the UFC DVDs in like the 90s or like late or maybe early 2000s. I can't remember. And like, yeah, that was like, yeah. Yeah, heavy blight drones are incredibly OP. They are. They're going to get nerfed, but it's all good. So here we go. Loading in. I'm sure we'll be here in just a moment. Let the good times roll, my friends. Let the good times roll. Dagda, thank you so much for subscribing on ye old Twitch. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you to our new channel members today, as well as our Twitch subscribers. Appreciate all of you guys. And here we go. We're getting in. The players have loaded. I believe, I know Anticity is Canadian. I'm, of course, on West Coast United States. I think B6 is somewhere in the, I can't remember. I think they might be in the Middle East somewhere. I can't recall. Right leg hospital, left leg cemetery. Yeah, dude. Oh, when Mirko Krokop took down Fedor Emelianeko's brother. God, I forget his name. Alexander. That fight was crazy. Yeah, fun times. All right, guys, taking a look at the build of the Kraken King. He's going to be using Rangers for Vanguard deployment. Now, Rangers are good against Skaven. They do have some physical resist and also have anti-infantry, so they're really good at cutting through clan rats, but they are rather expensive for a chaff unit. So, yeah, they can get taken down by gutter runners, by artillery, weapons teams, doom flayers. There's a lot of stuff that can punish them. Now, using White Lines of Krace is an interesting choice. I mean, normally Skaven hard counter elite infantry. Like, that's their whole thing. They're really good at just bringing in, like, a mortar team or globadiers or something to just make your elite infantry melt away. So I'm curious how Anticity is going to do this, because normally the meta against Skaven is to go as wide as possible with, like, chaff and try and match their chaff. But yeah, curious to see. So we got Techless with Flock of Doom, extremely meta, and Net of Amatok as well. And he has a Heavens Caster who's going to be using Hand of Glory on the Sisters of Avalorn to give him the reload skill. And the Book of Oath and Starwood Staff for extra winds of magic. All right, so what are Sisters of Avalorn good against? They have 180 range, and they're going to be teamed up with the... Okay, so this unit right here, the Talons of Torquelada, they imbue their target with fire weakness. So when they shoot you, they make you weak to fire. They themselves do fire damage, so it's going to be an extra 20% damage. And then you get the Sisters of Avalorn, who are an elite archer unit that happen to do fire damage. So they're going to be benefiting from that synergy right there. So we're going to see what he does. It looks like he's going into the woods. Anticity's Ranger is going to be grabbing objective 1. And looking at B6, B6 is probably one of our best Skaven players out there. There's not too many Skaven mains, right? There's not too many. But of all the Skaven mains, I think B6 is probably the most active. They're in RTK as well. It's ODM versus RTK, so we do have a bit of a clan war right now. I love the Gutter Runners. I think they're pretty good against the Rangers in the front, so just get these Ninja Rats to move up, grab the points, and just be disruptive. The rest of the army is Skaven Slaves, backed up by Skaven Slave Spears, Clan Rats in the very deep line here. Hey, darling, you need some? Love you. And in the back, we do get Plague Claw Catapults. So you don't see these things terribly often. It is going to be Plague Claw Catapults, dropping fat, steaming payloads on the face of the Elven units. And getting the catapult to shoot the White Lines of Krace is going to be insanely cost-effective. And look at the Lord as well. All right, we do have the Warlords. It's going to be a Warlord on a Brood Horror. Very, very off-meta choice here by B6. B6 is such a fun player to watch. Really, really cool stuff. But yeah, you need to get the catapult switched onto the infantry, because Anticity's micro, he's going to be able to dodge the artillery with his cavalry, so you're not going to have a good time with that. And the rat hordes are moving up while the Kraken King is going to be lurking in the bushes here, so we do see it. Talons of Torquelada, Sisters of Avalorn, they're actually going to be advancing out of the woods and pressing the back point of the Skaven. Catapult shooting in, and some war crimes being committed here as the old Rangers do get nuked by the artillery pieces. Only lose 4 models in the process as well, so there it goes. Skaven going to move up and secure the objective, having pushed the elves off, but they're going to be having to deal with a dual-pronged attack. Anticity ambushing out of the woods here, and now we do see the, oh, look at that, the Sisters of Avalorn with the Hand of Glory ability shooting into the Skaven Slaves. I mean, it feels like it's not going to be super good. Those are just Skaven Slaves. You know, using that Winds of Magic just to, like, shoot this one little haggard rat unit really, really feels like a misplay to me. And so far, Anticity is going to have to find a way to break open the defensive rat position. If you guys want, like, a defensive gunline faction, Skaven are definitely one of the big ones. They are really good on the defense. They do kind of, I mean, they can still push aggressively, but I would say Skaven really are a counter-punching faction. Just waves and waves of crappy chaff units backed up by some form of weapons teams and or monsters infantry here in the Rat Ogres, and that's typically how they do it. So the bird is the word. Anticity is going to be calling in the dreaded Frostheart Phoenix. So the Phoenix is out. This thing does cause terror, which is very good at routing off Skaven positions. And now we see some of the archers shooting into the Skaven slaves. So he's just using his archers to try and force the rats off objective number 3, at which point he's going to be trying to steal it. So moving up are the white lines of Krace. Archers are shooting away out of the woods. This is a very cool thing, like elven archers parked in the woods, shooting out and providing a little bit of fire support to the rest of the army. Very, very cool flavor. And that's one of the things I really like about Domination, is how terrain is very relevant. Uh-oh, the Warlord overextends and gets caught in the net magic. So Teclis using the nets of Ammontok to lock down the Warlord, and then a shit ton of firepower is going to be coming in. Anticity is an absolute predator in these games, man. He's got the full alpha strike going on here, and oh, the Skaven Warlord gets melted. Oh no! Oh, our precious little rat is down for the count. Oh no! That's a big blunder. That's a big old blunder from B6 there. That's going to be a hard one to recover from. You know, there's 2 elite archers in the woods. There's a net waiting there. That was a big mistake, right? That was a huge blunderooski. Because now the entire Skaven army is going to be having a big leadership penalty. I mean, they can still win this game, but it's going to be incredibly hard. Up in the sky, we do see the Frostheart Phoenix actually being killed by all the throwing weapons of the Gutter Runners. And I would imagine the Skaven are going to try and resummon their Warlord at one point here. But now the Archers of Anticity are going to be shooting out of the woods and melting into the Gutter Runners. So the Gutter Runners and Rat Ogres are getting the business pretty freaking hard right now. These guys getting melted down while the advancing Silvern Guard and White Lines of Krace are arriving. Rat Ogres in the front going to be breaking, but the Ogres on the other side going to be advancing and trying to wrestle and hold objective number 1 again. So moving up are the Ogres and the Clan Rats, and they should be able to get that objective from the High Elves. We'll have to see how it all unfolds. But the High Elves have a very, very good position here. On this side, we can see the Frostheart Phoenix going to be getting mass routes on the Skaven units. Plague Claw Catapults shooting into the good quality infantry that are up on the point. And the Skaven are, you know, pretty far behind in value. Most of that is just from the Lord, though, and the Lord getting karate chopped here. The Elven Archers in the tree line, very, very comfortable. Sisters of Avalorn and Talons of Torquelada now going to be advancing out of the trees and heading over towards objective number 2 here. In the meantime, Mage of High Magic as well as Teclis are going to be able to provide 3 capture weight here. Now the Skaven are in a mass retreat right now. They're not having a good time at all. But on the bright side for the Skaven, they do manage to hold objective number 1, so the Ogres do get up here. Clan Rats as well as Skaven Slaves are able to grab that point. And objective number 3, what's going down here? The Elves finally advancing out of their natural habitat, which is the woods. And they're going to be forming up ranks here, and the Sisters of Avalorn, I would imagine, are going to start shooting at whatever they can once again. Frostheart Phoenix is tanking a lot of the damage, but it's still very much alive. Elves are advancing on the backfield of the Skaven. Is there any chance for the Skaven to come back in this game? You know, getting your Lord karate chopped like that so early is really, really brutal, but you can never count out B6. B6 is a very, very strong player. Poison Wing Globadiers are here. They're going to begin throwing, so there they go. And yeah, more of the War Crimes weapons are here. We're going to see bombardments going down. Skaven doing friendly damage to their rats, but it's worth it if they're able to nuke down the more elite Silvern Guard and White Lines of Krace, right? Elves are able to force back the Skaven on this side. Clan Rats moving in. Globadiers getting in position, so here they come. And where are the Globadiers? Are they going after the Reavers? It looks like it, but they're going to want to turn and get on top of the Rangers here in a moment if they can. So Ogres have moved in. Globadiers going to form ranks and start melting a lot of these units. And the Sisters of Avalorn are literally base camping the backfield Skaven here. Eshin Triads getting taken apart by the missiles. Couple of spears and Ogres trying to fight off the advance of the Elves and protect that artillery piece. I would imagine B6 at some point is going to want to resummon their Lord, but they're under so much pressure. I don't know if they can afford to save up enough to actually resummon their Warlord. The Warlord would have been incredibly useful, of course, for providing leadership to the army, but also for fighting things like the Frostheart Phoenix and giving a little bit of terror on the battlefield as well. Globadiers, though, doing some nice work against the Elves. They are throwing away, but are they going to be harried and run down here? Here they come. Are they going to throw their volleys? There they go. So the Globadiers being tossed over here at the Elven units. Certainly some good DACA is going to be going down as those Reavers are going to be getting broken. Pushing into the secondary are the Rahagur's Pride and the Rangers, as well as more Rangers here. And yeah, just an absolute swarm of Elves. I think some of the light cavalry are going to be able to get around the flank and probably shut down these Globadiers, which is going to be uber important. Because they're going to do so much damage here. Like all these Elf units clumped up, getting poisoned by the Poison Wing Globadiers is pretty god tier for B6. B6, have they saved up for their Lord? It does not look like it. In the meantime, Elven Archers are being unsummoned as they have run out of ammunition. Rat Ogres pushing up, and yeah, we still do see the Plague Claw Catapults online. B6 is doing a good job staying in this game despite how horrific of a start that was. there's a couple factions that really pay the troll toll when they lose their lord. Skaven is probably the worst faction in the entire game to lose your lord on because of how low leadership they are. The warlord is what holds your army together, essentially. And when you lose your lord as Skaven, man, it is so punishing, and it is game over. GG, well played. Nice try, but the Kraken King, you know, you cannot expose any weakness to Anticity. If he finds that weakness in your game, he's going to take advantage of it, use those archers, nailed that warlord, and the rest was history. But yeah, GG. It was a rather one-sided game, but that was just because the lord got sniped, but still was very cool to see. And that's the fire synergy, right? Hey, Antagonistes, welcome. Yeah, the archers with the fire synergy, right? So you have the fire weakness being imbued, the hard-hitting fire damage archers with armor piercing, able to melt through that warlord and really get the job done. So GG, well to the played. Let's refresh and see if anybody else is done. That was not the first game to finish, but we're going to have like probably a little bit more time before the round is done. So bear with me, ladies and gentlemen, as we do it. You can't queue move orders in this game. You can. You can, but it's a little bit sloppy, Steve. I don't recommend doing it, but you can do it. If you hold down shift, you can queue up orders and give them unique paths that they'll take. Some people do it, but yeah. Don't forget Teclis had Kindle Flame. That's right. Yeah, Teclis had Kindle Flame too, so he was triggering the extra fire weakness. Yeah, because he does have Flaming Sword of Ruin, so he has access to Kindle Flame. Can't wait for the High Elves to get an update. That'd be cool. Can you just use the basic Chieftain with Power Grab to diminish the effects when your Lord dies? You can, yeah. Shangar, absolutely an idea. People have done that historically. It's not terrible. Just being more... with Skaven, you have to be very conservative with your Lord, though. Just very cautious. It's a scouting thing, right? Like in any RTS game, you want to do scouting, okay? So you look at your opponent's mage, you're like, oh, they have a net, and they have 2 elite archers on the field. They're going to snipe the shit out of me if I get out of position, you know? So it's a scouting thing. But it's easy in the heat of a big battle to lose track of that and move out of position for 1 second, and a good player is going to punish that, right? Yeah. It's very fun. Very fun. Okay. And let me show you guys what that synergy looks like right now. So we're going to do this, and we're going to go to... we'll go to High Elves, for example. It's a good way to show it, actually. So we will just do the testing scenario. We're going to do the Pillar of Bone. Pillar of Bone is a good testing map. All right. So, yeah, Teclis is fine. We can get just like a random spear unit to hold it in place. We want to get the Talons of Torquelada, and we could just get, you know, Everqueen's Courtyard is fine, and the Talons of Torquelada. So we have the fire synergies now, right? Yeah, we should have everything. Okay, so then we can test it against, like, I don't know, some sort of a big monster. We could do a big Nurgle monster, which is probably a very apt test anyways. We could do the Great Unclean one. He's going to waddle up and Unga Bunga. There we go. We got him. Okay, and there we go. That'll be a fine little test. So you guys will get to see what's cooking here. There we go. Awesome sauce. And we will show you what is going down. Okay. Loading in here. So, here's how it works. You have the Talons of Torquelada. They do fire damage, but they also imbue fire weakness when they shoot you. Then you get fire damage from the Sisters of Avalorn, and then you use the Kindle Flame passive. So whenever you cast a spell with a wizard who has this passive, it makes the entire enemy army weak to fire for 15 seconds. So it's pretty damn cool. We're going to move forward and demonstrate on one of Nurgle's most beloved champions. It is going to be the Great Unclean One. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start shooting here. We're going to do this, so he's going to be weak to fire, and then we're going to also just, you know, cast a spell to trigger the Kindle Flame. So from here, when we pause and look at Homie, let's take a look. So currently he's afflicted by Kindle Flame, so he's weak to fire by 20%, and he's also flammable. So he's going to be taking an additional 40% damage from these archers. So these archers that do right now 28 missile strength, you can multiply that by 40%. And the Talons of Torquelada. Of course, there's variables like armor that come in as well and things like that, but you can see it's pretty big damage. He's going to go down rather quickly. And you can also net. Teclis is really good for sniping builds, so you net him down, and he's just going to get cooked really quickly, right? So that combo is pretty fun. It's been something that's been used in Warhammer for quite some time, overlapping lore passives to gain certain benefits and whatnot. But, oh, Kugath would have gotten wrecked too. Yeah, against High Elves with Nurgle, you never bring a Great Unclean One against missile-based factions. If you're playing against, let's go to domination mode. If you're playing against High Elves, what's the build I have here? Nurgle versus High Elves. It's around here somewhere. Did I pass it? I probably did. Okay. Yeah, this is the build I use. So we use the 2 Exalted Heroes on Rot Beast to fight dragons. We use the Chaos Sorcerer to crowd clear and provide healing. The Noxbringer to counter archers, and then infantry and just, swarms of infantry to push up. And overall, the build's been pretty effective. I've had good success with it. Yeah. Cool. So let's freaking get it. So are we ready for the next round yet? I don't think so. Only 2 games left to finish, and then we're going to be ready for the next round here. I do remember, no. Yeah. Frunkel is a meme character. He's not something that you really pick. Sweaty matches indeed if you're dealing with a heat wave in the Northeast. Thankfully, in California, it's actually kind of cool weather right now. By summer standards, it's actually kind of cool, which is nice. I wish Nurgle had some Cloud of Fly's ability to negate the range damage. Yeah, Nurgle definitely gets punished by range, but they have... Nurgle units have a higher base HP. So they can take beatings more than other factions despite not having a ton of missile resist. So if you look at like a Marauder of Nurgle, it's going to be, or we can even look at the Pestigors. Pestigors have 10,500 HP. And if we look at, for example, Tzeentch is, where the hell is Tzeentch? I never play them. So 10,500 is what it was. And these guys have 9,600. So it's a 900 to 1,000 HP difference, depending on that. Let's look at the Khorne one. So 9,600 on you. The Khorne ones might actually have more HP than Tzeentch. Let's see. No, 9,600. So yeah, the HP difference is pretty nice. Like, that's a couple volleys worth of damage that they can absorb, which is cool. Can you please take the heat back? It's brutal. I know. The hot summers are not fun. Okay. So what's cooking over here? Let's see this. All right. And we can refresh and see if we're ready for the next round. So that's round 2. We got 6 rounds today. It's got to be good. Germany's about to get really hot next week. Yeah, sorry, brother. Hopefully it's not too hot for you. All right. Nurgle has a surprising amount of speed, actually. But yeah, they are slower than other factions, but they can surprise you with speed. All right, so we're advancing to the next round right now. Yeah, Zangors would eat more Archer Fire because of the Silver Shields, correct. And the Protoss Shields. So probably not the best example with the Zangor, but advance at Swiss. Okay, so we're going to be in the next round now, and here we are. So round 3 fights. So Goblins, round 3. Okay. So who are we going to cast now? We could do Alexander Nuts versus... Oh, we already did Hitman Hippo, actually. Let us do Tom versus Count Games. That's going to be fun. So we will do Tom's game. Okay, Count Games. Yo. Lobby code, please. Casting your game. Okay, so how are we looking here? And then we need to find LL Tom, I think is the name. Tom. What is Tom's name in Discord? I think this is the Tom. Lobby code, please. Thank you. All right. So get in the lobby code from these homies. And we will cast our match. Okay. I'm in Tom's game. Okay. Okay, so we got to back out of that. Make sure to do this. Back to multiplayer and Tom. There he is, okay. Cool, so we got our next match coming up right now. Is Warhammer 3 the last in the series? Yeah, it's going to be the last one, yeah, for the old Total War Warhammer. But I would imagine they're going to support it for a long time. Who knows, though? We'll find out. We will find out. Yeah, that's true, William. A lot of Europeans don't have like air. Yeah, it depends on the country you're in, but yeah, and it's not as common. Like in California, every house has air conditioning just about, unless you're in a coastal city. Coastal cities in California like often don't have air conditioning because you don't really need it because it's cool year round. But yeah, a lot of places in Europe for sure. So it is going to be Khorne for Tom versus Wood Elves. All right, cool. So we're getting another matchup here. We just need to see what the map's going to be. Thank you guys so much for joining today. It's been a fun one. Man, we're already on round 3 and we're freaking hour in. This is a really, really efficient one here. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to go get some water, and we will be right back. What about Warhammer 4, The Quest for More Money? No. All right, guys, I'll be RB. Uno momento, por favor. What's cracking? What's new? Did I miss anything? Here in Italy, surviving with just an electric fan. Man, yeah. Must be cooking over there, man. Alright, so Wood Elves vs. Khorne. Skjallandir's Cave is going to be the map. It's a very big, open, wide map, which is good for the Wood Elves, I would say. Granted, Khorne is a deceivingly fast faction between the Fleshhounds and the Furies. And, you know, relatively normal speed infantry. They can get around the field very fast. Yeah, it's going to be Khorne vs. Wood Elves right now. Yeah. That's going to be what we are seeing. Hey, Melody, I appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words. All right, all right. So aside from, this is something I wanted to ask you guys. Aside from Total War, what games that we cover on the channel as of the past couple months, that can be Lord of the Rings, that could be Age of Empires, whatever else it may be, have you enjoyed the most? It could be Bannerlord. Just trying to gauge what I should cover more of. Is Volkmar good in multiplayer? Yeah, Alexander, he's very good. In a couple matchups. Volkmar is solid, though. Yeah, him on his Pimp Altar is pretty good at disrupting infantry builds. All right, Dawn of War 2, Bannerlord was a lot of fun. Warcraft 3, nice. Age 4, okay, it's all over the place. I thought there was Von Haggard. We will go back to doing a Bannerlord campaign once we get the update. Once they add the dwarves and the greenskins, we're going to go back to do that. The Lord of the Rings games are amazing to see. I thought the game died while I was in middle school. No, it's still, we've got an active community going. Okay, so a little bit of everything. I owe you guys a Dawn of War 2 stream. We got to get back on that. You really enjoyed Bannerlord, yeah. Okay, good feedback, guys. I'm taking notes here. Battlefleet Gothic. Oh my god. Of course, Professor Pone wants a hot tub stream. Pone, if you move out to California, we can do a hot tub stream, dude. It'll be great. We'll eat hot dogs while hanging out in the hot tub together. It'll be great. Even more Warhammer. Always, dude. Well, Warhammer is always going to be, you know... There obviously will come a time way down the road when, you know... If we get another game from Creative Assembly that has, like, good multiplayer infrastructure and is, like, fun, then, yeah, we might, like, move on to focusing on that primarily, but who the hell knows if that'll ever happen, right? Yeah. Any chance CA does an Age of Sigmar game? I don't think so. I think down the road, Agent Barkley, like maybe 10, 15 years from now, but right now I don't think so. Age of Sigmar games tend to flop. People don't really like the setting that much in the video game community. I mean, on tabletop, I think people enjoy it just fine, but yeah. Dota, turn that Dota style game, forget what its name, not sure. I choose death over hot dogs again. Pone, you will eat the hot dog and you will enjoy it. Oh my god, dude. Yeah, let's hope, Ben. Let's hope, brother. Yeah, pretty much every Age of Sigmar computer game does badly. And mobile games, right? They're just all like, I don't know what it is. I really dislike the setting, personally. I think there's some cool model design in Age of Sigmar, but like the setting is so bland to me. It's just like... The only cool stuff in Age of Sigmar is like the stuff that came from fantasy, right? Like the chaos stuff. But I'm just like an old boomer anyways. Yeah. Okay, so Wood Elves are ready to fight. Khorne is still queuing it up, getting ready to Duel of Fates it. Do you guys think that Stormgate can bounce back? Probably not. Probably not. They had their initial hype. You know, sometimes in life you get one shot, one opportunity. And, you know, in the words of Eminem there, I don't know. I think Stormgate's really going to struggle to bounce back. Because they had their hype. They had their hype. They had their big promotional effort. They launched way too early. And they, you know, they may have blown their metaphorical load, as I do say. I would love to see them bounce back and do well, but I don't I don't think so. I think Stormgate's done. Yeah. Archaon and AOS looks super cool. Right, but he's like a character from fantasy too. I mean, they put him on a big dragon beast thing, but it's still like, yeah. GW needs to end times Age of Sigmar and War back. No, Age of Sigmar actually sells pretty well on tabletop. It does well as a game. It just doesn't do well in other settings outside of tabletop from what I've seen. All right, looking at the Khorne build. Holy shit, who let the dogs out? Apparently Tom did. So looking at Tom's build, it is going to be a full who let the dogs out. He is unleashing the fury of the Baja boys. We have the flesh hounds, we have regular hounds, more hounds, hounds, and hounds. Aside from that, it is going to be Chaos Knights of Khorne. It's going to be 2 of these bad boys. Some of the coolest looking models in the entire game, by the way. Look at these absolute chads. They look so freaking cool. And I mean, yeah, in theory, they are good against elves. They can definitely run down their infantry, chase down their archers, be very disruptive. And it is going to be Skulltaker as well. The only weakness of Tom's build is the fact that it's so heavily indexed into diving archers and swarming that if his opponent goes with a Durthu build that's very melee focused, he might actually have a very, very bad time. So we're going to have to see. Now, for the Elven build of Count Games, it is going to be Wildwood Rangers in the woods. It's going to be 3 of those bad boys, and they're really good against Khornate infantry. We do also have Big Daddy Durthu in his natural habitat, and he's going to be very hard for this army to kill because those cavalry are not armor-piercing, nor are they anti-large. Skulltaker will do okay, but Skulltaker is still a chariot character, so he's not going to have the best time here. All right, and we do have a Waystalker with Arrows of Karnus, and the rest of the army is going to be War Dancers. If you can get the Chaos Knights to come up and flatten these War Dancers, that's going to be uber strong. Arrow of Karnus used out of the gates on Skulltaker, which isn't bad, but he can heal himself, so he's going to be fine. He doesn't really care too much about that. Outside objectives have been grabbed by the Blood Gods Chosen. Intercepting these War Dancers before they can get to the cookie jar of the Death Star would be very, very good. A couple of Chaos Warhounds of Khorne going to be creeping around. You can ignore Durthu, yes, Kobe, but it's tricky. You might have to fight him eventually. It really depends on the positioning of this game. We're going to have to see. So Khorne's going to want to call out some Marauders and some infantry, I would suspect. We do see the Chaos Warhounds over here in the woods. They're going to want to retreat, perhaps a blunder in micro, but no, it looks like he is going to get those units away. So Tom is able to retreat. In the meantime, Count Games and Durthu are going to be hanging out on the objective. He's going to need to get another point, though. That's the thing about Dom mode. You can't just unga bunga in a box and make your opponent fight you. You have to move and you have to play the field. So you can certainly head over towards objective 2 at some point, but yeah. And then it becomes a question of, okay, how much do I leave here? How much do I advance to objective 2 with? Those are really kind of the depth of tactics. Durthu is incredibly hard to kill. He has 10,000 HP. He has built-in physical resist. He has built-in missile resist. He has incredibly good combat stats, 75 and 52 on his stat line for melee defense and melee attack. He is an absolute unit to get rid of. Oh, Kempsey, yeah, I would be down to go revisit that game. It was very fun. So Chaos Knights of Khorne attacking into the War Dancers. This is very cost effective. Definitely a bit of a blunder by the Elf player to let the War Dancers get caught by the Chaos Knights. They lose about 40 models and really, really get the business. And Skulltaker now is going to be farming some skulls in the infantry department. But these are spear units. He doesn't want to sit in here too long. He's going to have a relatively bad time if he does stay there. As another Arrow of Karnus does shoot into him, but it actually ends up hitting the tree. So Khorne is going to be calling out infantry. So here they go. So it is going to be Marauders of Khorne and Marauders of Khorne with dual weapons. So those guys moving up. Because, yeah, that's really what you do with Khorne. You just hang out here. Like, create a battle line here. And when the elves eventually advance out to fight you, you just ninja back here and try and steal the point from them. And when Durthu goes somewhere else, you can use your mobility, like your hounds and your mobile character, and try and steal that point, right? All right, so on the backside, Chaos Warhounds of Khorne are eyeing down the Wild Riders. Count Games does call out the Wild Riders in the woods. So they're very good against the Khorne mobility units. Against the Flesh Hounds and against the regular Hound units, they're going to have a very, very good time. So here they come through the woods looking very, very cool in the process. And the elves are just trying to decide what they want to do. They have time to maneuver. You don't have to push up on the objectives immediately. But probably what you would want to do is you would want to leave one Wildwood Ranger and one Spearman unit, plus maybe a Cav unit hiding in the trees for support, and then move the rest of your Death Star over towards Objective 2. That would be the correct play that you would want to do here. L7, I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for the kind words, and the battle rages on. But Khorne is waiting in ambush. They have the doggies waiting. They have the Furies coming in. A lot of units lurking in the shadows waiting to jump up on that point. But the hardwood is going to need to move over. They're going to need to get over towards objective number 2 and get her done. What's up, Pan? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. Yes, yes. Some hounds getting a little bit crunk back here, trying to discover some weaknesses in the formation. But they are fended off by the Christmas cavalry, by the reindeer. So we do see the Wild Hunters of Kurnus as well as the Glade Riders. And the last arrow of Kurnus charge is going to be used on the Skull Taker, getting him down to about 70%. And now Durthu and his elite are going to be advancing up over towards objective number 2. So there they go. And it's time. Wildwood Rangers will trade very well into the Khornate Infantry. Durthu is going to be an unholy raid boss. Now, the best way that Khorne could deal with his giant erect tree would most likely be throwing axes. Getting a bunch of Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes, encircling Durthu, and just doing the fire damage and armor-piercing damage. Yeah, the puns write themselves, that's right. Khorne thinking about trying to alpha strike this point, but the Wood Elf player with good partitioning of his forces, leaving some units to defend here, and then the only downside of that is, right, if your opponent's more mobile than you and you leave a lot here, they can then take all their mobility and alpha strike your much smaller army here. So we're going to see if that actually comes into play. Chaos Knights charging into spear units, which was a little bit curious, although on the outside we do see the Hounds getting ready to attack into the Wild Hunters of Kurnus. And the Chaos Knights do get a charge into the spears from the side, so I don't know if their bracing is going to be helping them too much. And they should end up winning that fight if they get a little bit of support. Right here we have Furies landing amongst archers, but they're probably going to be taken down by the Wild Riders. And on the backside, we do see a big cavalry fight as Chaos Knights duking it out with the Wild Hunters of Kurnus. But the Kurnus Riders are going to lose this really badly because there's 2 units of Flesh Hounds attacking them as well as a regular Hound. So that's just going to be an absolute massacre. So this is really, really good. Yeah, that's really nice. Those Chaos Knights able to get great work done, chopping through, and the elite Wood Elf Cavalry are actually taken to Pound Town. Or if you're in the UK, their pound has been stretched, whatever you're into, pound land, pound stretcher, all good times. So Durthu using a Flock of Doom on the Khornate army. Now, all Khorne units, by the way, since the God of Blood hates magic, their entire army has spell resist. So they're very durable against magic, which is cool. But the Elves are holding on to Objective 3 pretty comfortably. And are they going to be able to win on this side? Chaos Knights are running through a lot of the units, and now the Chaos Knights are going to be collapsing down from the hill, having won their fight against Wild Riders. A couple of Furies going to be landing, and yeah, these Chaos Knights are really putting in a lot of work, dominating the mobility fight against the Wood Elves. We're not seeing any like Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma or some of the typical things we do see against the Cav units. And that Wild Rider unit basically getting 3v1 was very tough, and that's going to give a value lead to Old Tom here. Durthu, in the meantime, being a big, fat, angry tree, he is able to smash Skull Taker. Oh my god, Skull Taker just getting worked on there. He's going to need to retreat. Currently, he is at 2200 HP. Durthu able to give him the business, and now it looks like the Elves are in a position to maybe threaten to take objective number 2. The only mistake is they're not moving their units onto the point. You see that line right there, that little grid? All you need is one model touching that, right? You need one model touching that grid, but unfortunately for him, he is not. So it's allowing Khorne to kind of hold on to the objective. The Wood Elves are going to need to grab that sooner than later, that's for sure. Wildwood Rangers and Durthu are pretty much defeating everything they come in combat with. Chaos Knights doing some nice cycle charging, trying to avoid spears where they can. But so far, are still in pretty good shape. 45 models on this Chaos Knight. The other Chaos Knight over here is sitting at 51 models. So there's a chance that the Chaos Knights are going to be able to carry this game by just shutting down the Wood Elf mobility and the Wood Elf reinforcements. For Wood Elves, if you look, this is a big tactic in domination in general. You look at your opponent's army and you need to be able to assess what their weaknesses are and then call in things that address those, right? And the entire Khorne army is more or less weak against Eternal Guard and like spear kind of equivalent units. Not everything, but a lot of their units are. So calling in Eternal Guard at this point in the game would probably be very, very good. Skull Taker taking down the Wildwood Rangers. Wildwood Rangers are armor piercing, but they're going to get wrecked by the Chaos Knights with Skull Taker because the Demon of Khorne, he actually buffs all nearby units. He has some crazy buffs, and you can see his motorcycle is going to be running over some of those ladies right there. Currently sitting at 2200 HP. Durthu's coming in. The big Optimus Pine is on his way over. And Skull Taker is much quicker, though. 58 speed against 30 for Durthu. Durthu is not the quickest of lads. Wood Elves do seem like they're getting pulled apart, and Tom is pulling a massive value lead. Durthu is hard to deal with, but somebody in chat earlier talked about ignoring Durthu, and it's very true. If your opponent plays a certain way that allows you to do that, absolutely. And that's exactly what we've seen from Tom. He is just ignoring Durthu, using his cavalry to isolate the Wood Elves where Durthu is not, and getting a ton of value there. So, yeah, looking really, really bleak for the Wood Elves right now. Could the Wood Elves come back? I don't think so. Forsaken of Khorne have arrived. So here comes the Blood Gods Fiery Champions. These guys are super cool. They do fire damage too, which is relevant against some of the tree spirits like Dryads and whatnot. Yeah, although the physical resist just kind of counters that little advantage they get. But they do get in. War Dancer's getting ripped up. This objective is going to be stabilized by Khorne. Objective number 3 is also being taken by the Blood Gods. So out here we do see the Chaos Knights And they are able to run down the defending Wildwood Rangers. So the Wildwood Rangers, they are not really good against big stuff. They're more of an anti-infantry unit, so Fleshhounds are considered monstrous in this game, and Chaos Knights are considered monstrous as well. So that's going to be it. Pretty much no objectives. Durthu was the only thing left the Wood Elves had, and that is going to be that. So Khorne cannot bring Hell Cannons. You need Marauder Horseman throwing axes to kill him, but honestly, ignoring him works fine too. Hey, L707, thank you for giving out 5 community subs. Sorry, I was in the heat of the commentary. I didn't see that, but thank you so much. I appreciate you, boss. And welcome to the crew, my friends. Okay, so what's cooking? What's going on? Durthu, it was a cool-ass build for sure, but it just, nothing in here really was able to deal with the Chaos Knights, right? Like, none of these units are good against Chaos Knights except the Eternal Guard. And then in the reinforcements, the only good answer against Chaos Knights were the Wild Riders and the 1 spear unit. So this build was just not capable of dealing with the Chaos Knights. That was really the epicenter of the issue. All right, GG, well played. Fun match. Hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing some awesome Chad Chaos Knights in action. And now we're going to wait for the next round. We have a minute here. We have a little bit of time before it goes. Pretty quick tourney, though. People are playing fast. Hey, we're doing good. Awilix, I think is how I would say that. Thank you for being a member for 6 months. Great way to support the channel, by the way. If you guys are enjoying the sweaty action we do here, consider becoming a channel member on YouTube or a subscriber on Yield Twitch. It helps a lot. Helps me pay the prize pools for tournaments and all that stuff as well, because I pay that all out of pocket. GG's. So we are going over towards the next round. We still have a handful of games to finish, and we're going to hang tight. We're going to take a look at the map tourney real quick. We'll show you who's playing and see what's cooking. Is Age of Sigmar popular on tabletop simply because of Old World? No. Old World actually just came back. Age of Sigmar is popular in tabletop because it has very nicely designed miniatures, and it replaced Warhammer Fantasy. Warhammer Fantasy was straight up deleted, so there was no alternative to playing a fantasy war game in the Games Workshop sphere outside of Middle-earth. But it has great miniatures. And honestly, if you don't have that like background of having played Warhammer Fantasy and being attached to that setting, it's much easier to get into Age of Sigmar. Yeah, in my experience, because you don't really have that thing to compare it to. Yeah, Cody, it depends. Are you talking about for multiplayer? Because yeah, it is expensive, but if you just pick like 1 or 2 factions and play in these single faction tournaments, you're totally chilling. Yeah. Yeah, Age of Sigmar rules aren't bad either. I just don't like the double turns. Double turns are really shitty. I know they can be played around at a higher level, but it's just a really feels bad mechanic for casual players. Like when you're playing with your friend in the garage and like someone gets a double turn and just wins the game because of it, it's pretty freaking lame. All right. I used to play Age of Sigmar a bit. I played Cities of Sigmar back when they were actually just fantasy models. And then that got squatted with the Beastmen as well. Yeah. Anticity's miniature. Oh, do you guys want to see it? I can show you. It's currently being printed right now by the 3D printer. One of my friends who has a 3D printer, and then I'm going to be picking it up most likely on Tuesday night, and then we're going to paint it. Yeah, which is going to be uber fun. So Anticity won the Warcraft 3 tournament that we had for beginners, and the prize was a custom designed miniature. Let me get that. I wanted to show you guys like the fully painted version, but we can show you the trophy here. All right. Oh, it's so cool. It's so cool. So my wife is going to paint it. Yeah. Yeah, that's a sick mini. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's see it. We're going to get it. It's not painted yet, but we'll show you like the mock-ups. Okay. There we go. All right, here we go. Yeah, I don't know if I think he's seen it. I think we sent it to him. All right. So here's the Anticity mini. This is the 3D mock-up, but this is what it's going to look like. So it's like a trophy. So it's going to be painted. It's going to have the first place on there. It has Anticity's face as the Farseer's face, and he has a plushie or like a little like thing that he has on his streams. So he asked to have the wolves' heads replaced with his plushie that he has on his desk. So that is Anticity's face, and those are his little plushies that he has as his spirit wolves, which is really, really cool. So here's another angle of it right there, you can see. So we're going to get that all painted up for him, and it's going to have a trophy. It's going to have first place. It has his face on there. He sent us a picture for reference, so yeah, it's pretty great. Yeah. Yeah. I'm really excited to get that all painted up. It's gonna look so freaking sweet because my wife is painting it. She's like a super talented miniature painter and artist. Yeah, MacGyver. I was actually was meaning to talk to you about that. I don't know if you're hanging out, but Anna wanted to paint it, so of course, you know, we're gonna just do it here. But we'll get you painting some other stuff down the road, my friend. But that is the miniature right there. All right. Who designed it? Yeah, one of our friends from the channel designed it, Sir Nicholas. He can design miniatures for you if you hire him. So he did a great freaking job with this. It looks really, really cool. Yeah, I'm excited to get that into Anticity. I'm thinking of having that be the new prize structure for big tournaments too, is the winner gets a custom designed miniature with their face on it, and it's like a trophy we send to them. That could be probably more fun. Although some people might prefer like $300, $400 too. It just depends. Yeah, it was much better than you were expecting. Yeah, Sir Nicholas is a really talented designer. He is. He is indeed. All right, let's get that going and get that going, and there we go. Perfect. You're an Alliance guy? Yeah. Yeah. So, where are we at? We're refreshing here. Still a couple matches to wrap up. We're about halfway done with the round, but I assume they'll be done in the next 5 to 10 minutes because everything kind of wraps up around the same time. We could do an Applebee's gift card too. It's not off the menu. The powerful Applebee's gift card will cometh. It will indeed. So round 3 of the tourney is wrapping up now, and then we're going to go to round 4. And after round 4, we're going to have a very clear-cut idea of who our top 4 players are. And then we advance to the semifinals and then the grand finals, and we go from there. Is Warhammer Tabletop worth getting into? Asks Tinos. I like the setting and the tabletop game in general, but I don't really know anyone to play with. Okay, so answer me a couple questions. Do you want to play Age of Sigmar, Warhammer the Old World, which is this, or do you want to play 40K? And what part of the world do you live in? I'll be able to answer. And are you more about the gameplay, or do you like the hobbying aspect? Do you like painting? Do you like building things? Do you like kit bashing? You know, all that stuff is good to know. I'll look out for your answer. So here's the tourney so far. You can see the rounds are wrapping up. We are currently in round 3. Only these 3 games left to finish right here. So Alexander Hitman, Killian and Shield of Faith, and Walnut Tree and Pontus Claw. And Anticity is undefeated. I don't know who else is undefeated. It looks there should be one more undefeated player. I think it just hasn't updated yet, but we'll be casting a good old sweaty match here in the next round and going from there. Yes. Okay, good. There we go. I feel like we should research the most haggard restaurant chains in each country to find the appropriate gift cards to send to people. Yeah, like if someone from the UK wins, we give them a Weatherspoons gift card. That's a great idea. Is Daniken Trop playing today? Yeah, Daniken Trop is playing. Yeah, they're currently, I think, let me see if they're undefeated also. I think they might have lost 1 game. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Daniken is undefeated, and so is Anticity. So we have 2 undefeated players right now. A couple of people are like hot on their tail. No, Alexander Nuts is undefeated too. Yeah. Okay. And then we got 2 more matches, and we'll be going into the next round. Yeah. Okay, guys. What you guys need to tell me in your respective countries. Type where you are from, the country you are from, and the most haggard restaurant chain that isn't like fast food, like a sit-down place that's like really haggard, you know, in your country. I'm trying to like learn what the Applebee's equivalents are. It could be like a Weatherspoons type place, you know, if you're in the UK. And you can also give a little bit of context if you want, like talk about the whole jam. Okay, so Tino says, I live in the Netherlands, think I would enjoy both 40K and Old World. Is there a big difference in gameplay and popularity? I'm a bit nerdy, kind of looking for a hobby. Yeah, so I would recommend 40K. 40K, you're going to have an easier time finding people. You can get into Old World once you meet some people who are into it, but 40K, it's much easier to get pickup games. So I would recommend 40K. And the hobbying aspect is very fun. Honestly, I just love painting the miniatures and using them as like decorative pieces too. So yeah, I would recommend Warhammer 40,000 for sure. As it's just way easier to find people to play with. And what you would want to do is go to your local game stores if you have one, like an LGS, not a Warhammer store. Although you could start at a Warhammer store too. And just try and ask the store owners or find people who are playing and ask if there's a community. It will require you to go out of your social box a little bit and ask around. And also you can look online and look for like play groups. There's often like Facebook groups where you can find people who play. All right, let's see. Long John Silver's. Oh yeah, Long John Silver's is really haggard. I'm pretty sure I had a friend who got food poisoning from there. In Germany, kebab shops, okay. Boston Pizza is definitely better than Applebee's analog. Okay. Yeah, Waffle House. I've never been there myself, so I don't have the analogy, but I've heard the rumors. Yeah, like a greasy spoon that's haggard also. Yeah. In Sweden, anything you can buy in a kiosk gets you sick. Denny's, yeah, okay. Sounds good, Malden. There's also the tabletop simulator community for 40K. Yeah, TTS isn't as fun for me, though. I prefer to play in person. Of course Professor Pone likes Long John Silver's. Of course he does. Oh, I love it. Oh, Pone just coming out of nowhere. Oh. Dude, you guys want to hear a really funny story about Arby's? You guys want to hear a fun Turin trivia thing about the Arby's restaurant? You guys know what Arby's is, right? The food chain in the United States. It's like barbecue. It's like really terrible barbecue food. I mean, here, to be fair, I've enjoyed Arby's before, but it's questionable for sure. There's some stuff on there where you're like, oh, that's a little sketchy. Is it a food poisoning story? No, it's not. So in the 1990s, my dad, well, for his entire life he was, but during the 1990s, my dad, he was a television actor. So when my dad was, in the prime of his career, he was a television actor. He was on a couple TV shows in the 1980s and the 1990s and the 2000s and whatnot. So Arby's reached out to my dad after he finished a TV series that went from the late 80s until the early 90s. And Arby's reached out to my dad and they offered him the position of the Arby's commercial spokesman. So my dad would have been doing all the TV commercials for Arby's, like promoting the brand and being like, you know how like Subway had like its mascot, and like my dad was offered that position to be the Arby's guy, but he turned it down, which was a huge mistake financially, but he did. But yeah, it's a pretty funny little trivia bit there. Yeah. We have the meats, we have the beef. Yeah, imagine my dad yelling that. Holy shit. Hey, Lich Lord, thank you for resubscribing. The attorney's going good. I know, free lifetime supply of Arby's beef. I kind of stopped eating fast food on it. Not fast food, but like red meat. I still I love steak. I love having a good steak, but like if I can avoid it, I'll eat chicken or fish instead. I don't know, my body like struggles more with red meat as I've gotten older. But I'll still eat it, Open up a Turin's, yeah. If I'm ever going to open up a business, and all you homies are going to have to visit, it's going to be a local game store. Like, that's one of my dreams, is to open a local game store. I know it's not going to make any money, probably. Game stores are not the most profitable thing, but just someday I want to open one. And all of us homies can hang out and play Magic cards and play tabletop wargaming just all day. Just hanging out. It'd be freaking sweet. I love it. Yeah, red meat is like a treat for you, not a daily thing. Yeah, I'll still have it though, for sure. Turns heretic barbecue. You don't know where the meat come from. That's right, the heretic barbecue. Yeah, when I was in Poland, I ate at some kebab shops, and I was totally fine with that. I didn't have any issues. Yeah. L7 says, I was on a local TV for a Lego competition when I was a kid. Hell yeah, dude. You finished 6th? Let's go. That's your high school football moment right there. That's the one, you remember in the... Oh, God, how can I not remember? Napoleon Dynamite. You remember in Napoleon Dynamite, they have the Uncle Rico, and they go to visit him, and he's like playing with the football. He's like, I could throw that football plumb over that mountain right there. And he was like talking about in high school, I was like, we almost won the state championship. That's your moment that you can always harken back to, Yeah, that's your moment. The game store will be called Total Tavern. That would actually be kind of funny. Yeah. Damn, your mom is an Olympic diver. It's intense. She's got a tracksuit and a handshake. Yeah. All right. So where are we at? Are we ready? Okay, one game still to finish, and then we're going. Dude, we're gonna open a hot dog restaurant, and Professor Pone is gonna be the general manager. He's gonna be the taste tester of all the hot dogs. He'll be putting those things down, dude. If you win the lottery, your dream shall come true. Yeah. Yeah. If you open a hot dog, would you let Steven Seagal eat there? You know, he'll pay for big eats. Oh, dude. Steven Seagal sucks so freaking bad. He's such a shitter of a person, but yeah, definitely has made some really funny bad movies. Turin's retirement home for people who want to learn tabletop and do other strategy gaming, yes. Total Tavern is actually a good shop name. It could be, for sure. Slanesh Wiener BBQ. Oh, God, dude. Oh, God. I have that same kind of high school football moment when I tell people, yeah, I could have had Bitcoin at 10 cents and I didn't. I know. Hindsight's a hell of a thing, man. It's a hell of a thing. The millennials are so desperate. That's like their whole thing. They're like, well, I could own a house if I just bought Bitcoin. 2009. All right, what's cooking here? All right, we're finally ready for the next round. The time is now. That's actually something my wife and I have talked about, is opening a chain of, well, it wouldn't be a chain at first. It would be an individual restaurant. But we've talked about opening a pierogi chain in California. So it's not like a sit-down place per se. It's kind of like you come in, it's like a donut shop. You can order like day-made fresh pierogis, like dessert pierogis, like onion, potato, like ones, whatever, like any of the different type of Polish pierogis. And it would just be like a place you go in and buy them for, how much ever a pop. I legit think that would be popular. Like if you did that in like Los Angeles or something like that. Exactly. I agree. That's the one thing. My wife and I have heard nothing about how horrifically difficult the restaurant business is and how brutal it is. So, yeah, that's been that. So we're going to do an Alexander Nuts game right now. So let's get Alexander Nuts here. Okay. There we go. Yo. We'll fix. Lobby code, please. I don't know why Alexander has... Oh, it's because his opponent dropped. Okay, I just need to fix that. Got it. Yeah, it just seems scary. But pierogis are so good, and it's not something like... If any of you guys have ever been to... we're going to do Alexander Nuts. If you've ever been to Poland, man, oh man. Poland has... Like, pierogis are the food of the gods. And it's something that most Americans aren't going to get a chance to really try properly in their life. And I think if the average American like myself were to try pierogis, they would be quickly addicted to them. I think they're really good. And I mean, they're not terribly unhealthy either. I mean, it depends on what you put in them, but yeah. Any Polish people in chat want an open a pierogi stand? I think it'd be popular, but we were talking, Anna and I were talking about it. We're like, we would have to like find a way to import some Polish grandmas to come cook them, because it really is an art. It really is an art. Yeah, we need to find some babchas to come and do that. Yeah. Okay, so we got this. Let's get in our next game. This is a interesting match for the tournament because the winner of this is going to be probably going on to the top 4. The loser will not. Your ex-girlfriend? Yeah, pierogis with caramelized onions are the best. It's really, really good. All right, Beastmen versus Vampire Coast. Oh, we don't really get to see Vampire Coast. Polish food is amazing. It's very hearty. And you know what's really crazy about Polish food in general? So I've spent a lot of time in Poland. My wife is Polish. I love the freaking country. Polish people rule. The country rules. It's just freaking badass, dude. And when you go into like a supermarket in Poland and just get like a loaf of bread, that bread is so freaking good. I don't know what it is, but even like the really cheap bread that you can get for like a couple zlotys in the freaking stores or whatever is so goddamn good. I don't know what it is. Yeah, making pierogis is really labor intensive, but it must be a European bread thing. Like I feel like, okay, I think bread. Hey, Juan, thank you for becoming a subscriber on Twitch. I really appreciate it. Does she teach Polish words? Oh, yeah, I know a handful of Polish expressions. So America does sourdough bread really, really good. Like in California, we have a couple places and a couple like sourdough bread places that I think are on par with European bread. But that's just sourdough. If we're talking like general bread, like most other bread archetypes, I think Europe just crushes it. Their bread is so much better. Now, sure, there's a lot of different foods that America does better if you really want to get into it. But Bread, man, Europe has that shit on lock. Yeah, I don't know what it is. But we do sourdough bread very well. That's the one thing in California, at least we have it. There's some places in San Francisco and Southern California that do it. European bread is generally vastly superior to U.S. bread. I agree. I mean, I've lived in both places, so yeah. I have indeed. I live in a very small town. It's very like rural. Oh yeah. So where I live, there's like we have like old at my local market where I shop. We have like a lot of the stuff in the local market is provided by like local grandmas who just like bake the bread in their homes and deliver it to the shop. So we get like good legit bread, you know. Professor Pone is saying, has this guy had Subway's Italian urban cheese? Bro, I was the lord of Subway restaurant for like my entire young adult life. I used to go to track and field practice in college and then just deep throat some Subway sandwiches afterwards. All right, let's just cut to the chase here. I know Subway very well, but that was back when Subway was a freaking $5 for a foot long. Not this bullshit that we're getting now, where Subway you pay like $11 for a foot long. It's absolute dog shit. It tastes terrible now. I mean, it doesn't taste. It's mediocre is the correct way. Okay. Oh, dude. Southern America, the American South does some of the best food in the entire world, but it is so bad for you. If you have ever been to the South and had like sweet tea, Southern barbecue, cornbread, barbecued beans with like bacon bits in it, oh, dude, there are very few food experiences that can rival Southern food. There's very few. Like Southern, they eat well down there. There's a reason those, and I would know. I have family in Texas. A lot of my family's from the East Coast, like New York City, Massachusetts, like Italian Americans. But the other half is just straight up like from like Texas and the South, and some parts of California too. But yeah, really, I mean, the Southerners, they freaking eat well, dude. They eat well. All right, I'm gonna go get some more water. My mouth is drooling after all this talk of food. I think Southern cornbread just slothed in butter is like the most glorious creation. Yeah, it's so good. All right, team. What's cracking? I'm back. Hopefully you didn't miss me too much. So where were we? What were we talking about? It's hard for me to think of American food that isn't deep fried, baked, or barbecued. Yeah, I mean, there's some truth to that for sure. Yeah, depends on what part of the country you're in, you know? Like some parts of the United States are very focused on seafood and that type of thing. Obviously, the South is going to be more focused on barbecue and like rustic type food. All right. Well, anyways, wow, we're only an hour and a half into this. That's crazy. This is going so fast. It's going real quick. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the old world, I hope you're all doing well. And taking a look here, it is going to be the Iceman. Dude, oh, Iceman is here. Hell yeah. But he's got Zangors, Ungor Spears, Goreherds as well, and is going to be backed up by a big Ungabunga Raider blob. So bows have always been the counter to guns in this game, which is kind of funny considering the historical implications of that. But it is the case because they have longer range and better arcs of fire. Now, they don't necessarily do as much damage, but they are able to get some work done that way. Ungor Raiders backed up by a Brave Shaman of Death with Fata Buna and Spirit Leech. And oh shit! It's Kazrak the One-Eye, one of the worst lords in the entire game. Let's freaking go! Kazrak the Pimp Eye is here, dude. No mercy will be shown. No quarter will be shown. Now, looking here at the Dread Legions of the Vampire Coast. Alexander Nuts is one of the only Vampire Coast mains on the entire game circuit. Got a big line of zombies backed up by Bomber Mobs. Bomber Mobs are absolutely excellent at clearing out chaff units. If these guys are allowed to fire freely, they will 100% melt down your gore front line, right? Yeah, it's very, very good. We have a Vampire Fleet Admiral with a pistol. He's going to be rocking Gaze of Nagash, Invocation, and Drown Dead. So he's got a sniping spell, a summon spell, and a healing spell. And it is going to be the Giga Chad Gallows Giant. Oh, yeah. Let's freaking go. This thing is so cool. So it's a giant Colossus boat monster zombie beast, man-bear pig, with a flamethrower attached to the front. So it does have some good leadership penalties. When it hits you in melee, it discourages leadership. And when it shoots you, it also discourages leadership as well. All right. On the outside, objective number 2 is going to be taken here by Alexander Nuts, and advancing up is the Gallows Giant. So Gallows Giant able to cook in and blast the Zangors. It actually kills 5 models, so, you know, actually not terrible. This thing usually is a little bit underwhelming, but yeah, I'm curious to see what it's going to do today. So, all right, it's getting its flamethrower arm, and there it goes. It's going to be shooting some skeet on these guys, and a bit of a weird animation there, kind of glitched out, but it looks like it does actually connect and kills another handful of models right there. As the pistol mobs have engaged, and it looks like the Beastmen are going to be going full tilt. Kazrak getting nailed by a Gaze of Nagash, losing about 30% of his health. But the Great Beast going to be charging through the unbraced halberds and then getting into the secondary line of the bomber mobs, which is exactly what he wants. But Kazrak is definitely in danger. You know, the Gaze of Nagash is upon him, but using Kazrak as a chariot to just run over these infantry is very good. We do see Spirit Leech going down from the Beastmen as well, and the Unga Bunga Raiders have now gotten in position. We're going to see the Vampire Counts or Coast get folded up pretty hard here. I mean, they're literally using a frontline unit that has 6 melee defense, or as a frontline unit. So that's going to be very, very precarious for them. But Kazrak the One-Eye kind of going a little bit balls deep, guys. He's already up to 52 kills and 300 value. He's shutting down the bomber mobs. Alexander getting a little bit sloppy with his positioning, actually very sloppy. The bomber mobs need to be more deep set. He moved them into melee. With these Angors, which is really, really bad. We'll see if he can recover from it, though. Obviously, Depth Guard are going to be called out as well. So we are going to be seeing the Depth Guard anti-infantry units being called into the fray to deal with the Zangors, which is going to be quite cost-effective. Who cares about the rest of the game, though? The only thing that matters is the dreaded Kazrak the One-Eye. And now Kazrak is going to be going after the Vampire Lord. He's running it over on his chariot. He does have 420 weapon strength, with a bonus for his infantry as well, so he's going to be quite excellent at potentially killing infantry-based characters. We'll see how that fight goes. The Vampire Admiral does pop All Hands Hoy, which is going to be giving damage and leadership, preventing crumbling of nearby zombies. But man, oh man, Ungo Raiders are feasting like the heathen kings of old. They're all shooting very, very comfortably. Depth Guard have arrived, and you're going to want to shoot them with arrows or use the chariots to run into them. And it looks like very good awareness by the Iceman, by the way. So here they come, and they're going to be running in. A beautiful play by our Beastmen player, recognizing where that threat is on the battlefield and using an armor-piercing chariot to get into them. So that's very clean. Centaur is also going to be swarming in as well. Ungor Raiders getting a beautiful concave fire. We do see the big Colossus getting taken to Pound Town as Kazrak the One-Eye, dude. Let's go. Dude, winning with Kazrak is such a freaking flex because he is so haggard, but I am not hating this at all. This is super fun. So Kazrak moves through, runs over the zombies, gets them to start crumbling. The Colossus is getting nailed down by a lot of the Ungor fire. On the other side here, we do see the Depth Guard holding firm, but being cycle charged by the Razorgore Chariots. It's going to be very, very bad for their health. And Vampire Coast is falling behind more and more in value as the dreaded Kazrak the One-Eye continues pushing. I mean, there was a lot of things that were rough for Alexander's build, like basically using the gunnery mobs as a front liner against Zangors. Of course, your front line's going to get folded up in a couple of seconds. The gunnery mobs should definitely be in the secondary line. I think having some Depth Guard initially could have been good. Needed to have something to shut down the Ungor Raiders too. Maybe some Deck Dropper Bombers coming from the flank and sweeping them away. There's plenty of options Vampire Coast has, but yeah, it was tough. So Colossus is getting an Invocation, so the Vampire Lord is healing it, but it also is being afflicted by Spirit Leech. Kazrak the One-Eye flying around doing some work and running over the Deckhand mobs. Got them at 8 leadership. Vampire Lord maybe going to be coming in. And Kazrak the One-Eye thinking about charging in, maybe going after the Gallows Giant. Probably going to see a Gaze of Nagash here in a moment. I think Alexander is going to see it and is going to be dropping a sniping ability to try and finish off Kazrak or maybe get the kill there. Back in the woods, Zombie Pyre Deckhand mobs are fully surrounded by the Bray Herd, so the Gore Herds of Iceman have the Undead surrounded. Sirens are good in this matchup for sure, but there's only so much they can do, and everything else around them is kind of losing their respective fights, right? Kazrak does get blasted. When I looked away for a second, he did get nailed by another Gaze of Nagash. The Colossus is going to probably go down for the count. It's at negative 21 leadership, going to start crumbling right now, and there it goes. All right, all right. So Colossus is going to waddle. It's, help me, Anakin, I'm too weak. He's sitting at 400 leadership. It does take a while to crumble down, so you can do a little bit more before he goes quietly into the good night. But Kazrak has got his eyes set on the prize. The Vampire Admiral. Invocation. Oh, shit. Is he going to stabilize this thing? He's trying to heal it, but Spirit Leech going down. And the hero Unga Bunga Spear is going to be coming in, and down goes the giant. It collapses as its spirit is drained by the Winds of Death. All right, GG there. Game's looking really, really bad for the Vampire Coast. I think the Vampire Coast build, which is very, very off, it had some cool elements, but it was not up to the task, and that's going to be a victory for the old Beastman and Iceman. GG. All right, so Iceman is going to report the score of that game. Relatively quick karate chop there, but still fun to see. We got to see Kazarak the One-Eye coming in, dude. I mean, come on. How much dirtier can one talk to you other than seeing Kazarak the One-Eye, dude? It's like that meme, like, you know, with the guy laying in bed with his wife, and the wife is like, she's thinking about other girls, and then it's like, no, I was thinking about Iceman's Kazarak the One-Eye game earlier. 1500 right here. Good build, honestly. Very solid build from the Beastman. It had all the essentials you need against the Vampire Coast. And, yeah, that is going to be that. GG. Well played. He did indeed struggle. So with that being done, we're going to go on and advance to the top 4 here in just a handful of minutes. Iceman most likely going to qualify for top 4. Maybe not. Oh, no, he actually got pared down. So he actually only had 2 wins overall. So we'll check and see. Maybe he did. Yeah, the Necrofex Colossus ROR, I'm not a fan of it. I think the Giant Crabs are way better because they're just way tankier and just kind of do better in general. Iceman may make top 4, actually. He does have 3 wins, so. Yeah. What would I do? I don't really play Vampire Coast, but if I was to play them in that matchup, what would I want to do against Beastman? I feel like it is hard and probably very Beastman favored, but I still think Coast can win it. We've seen some high-level Vampire Coast players win that matchup before. All right, so let's see what's cooking here. Yeah. Okay, so against Beastman, what would my choices be? I think you got to max out on deckhand mobs because you don't want to be presenting a pistol-based front line, right? I feel like that's just not good. You can bring some bomber mobs, but they're just going to kind of have a terrible time in my experience. Fellbats in reserve to tarp at the archers and just be disruptive in general. I'd probably consider... You can, like... There's a couple ways to go about it. You can go double Crabbo. Like, this is a very viable style, like double Behemoth Crab. Because these things have 150 armor, and they can absorb Ungor missiles all day. And here's the thing, guys. This last Beastman player probably would have lost the game against this build because he didn't have anything to kill giant crabs outside of raiders, which, you know, I don't think they would have been enough. And then if you're going to do this, you just go Vampire Admiral with the polearm, you get vampires, and you just get Invocation and Drown Dead, really. You just get the two spells there. Wand of Jet, Curse of Undeath Hunger, you can cut that. Just go very cheap. So something like this would probably be the way. Can we afford a Scurvy Dog here? They're 500, yeah, so... All right, so we get Scurvy Dogs in reserve. I actually like the idea of some Bomber Bats. I think they can be really disruptive, so we'll get a couple of those. 3 Bomber Bats. You need something to deal with Minotaurs. They're going to be a bit of an issue for you. So I would probably get maybe 2 Depth Guard Polearms to give you like sustainable anti-large. 1 Cyrene for like quick terror route reinforcements. And do we want a Mourngul? Mourngul's are okay here. They're not like anything obscene. Probably Pistol Mobs in reserve is going to be good. And maybe 1 Bomber Mob in the back, and then finish us off with Halberds. This would probably be a direction you could go with this build. You could also use Celastra on foot if you want to, and have her like summoning the Damn Knights Errant. That's a very viable way too, but you do need Invo. If you were to go with Celastra, you would get her on. You would get her with just like Tide Call probably, and Kraken's Pull, Cut Kiss to the Deep, Song of Enthrallment, and just Ghost of the Past. So she's just there to summon shit. Although we probably need to cut her item here. There we go. So that would be like a Celastra version, but if you do Celastra, you need to get a freaking Vampire Caster in reserve with Invocation to heal the big crabs. So that's what you would do. Top 3 PvP factions for me would probably be Slaanesh, Ogre Kingdoms, and Beastmen. They're probably the strongest factions in the game. And I'm not even looking at the stats right now. That's just my feeling. Talk to a pretty girl, but no, I was thinking of old Kazarak One-Ice game. I'm glad you enjoyed that, Cody. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Okay, so let's refresh this. Yeah, you know what? I am kind of getting the itch to maybe play an SFT with Vampire Coast. They're a really cool faction, and they honestly aren't terrible. I mean, I think their win rate's about 50%, right? Let's see. Oh, yeah, about 48, 47% win rate. Not bad. Yeah, so we're not even restricting Seekers. I think they are better this patch, for sure. So we're not banning Heart Seekers and Seekers. They're actually very much alive, so... Dude, Iceman, are you going to make top 4, dude? Well played to you. Oh, ogres are incredibly strong. Yeah. They're very strong. Ogres are one of the strongest factions in the game for sure. Okay, so let's do this. Let's refresh and see how we're looking here on the old website. We had a really fun time with all of you guys yesterday with the Lord of the Rings tournament. I think I'm going to do more of those. I took Kazakh because Alex told me he was taking something interesting. Yeah, the Colossus is something interesting, that's for sure. All right, so Walnut here, we need to see. So Walnut has got the buy round. He should have 1 point here, so let me fix that. You might have made top 4, Iceman. It's close. I think we have High Elves in top 4. We have Beastmen, High Elves, whatever Daniken is playing. Yeah, so Walnut. Okay, Walnut needs to be this. Okay, here we go, and there it are. The only unit that is banned in this tournament is the Thunder Tusk for the Ogre Kingdoms. There's no other restrictions. Yeah. In domination mode, we don't really need too many restrictions. Occasionally, if a unit's like most of our tournament organizers feel it's OP, we just restrict it. But aside from that, there's no like attacking rules or engaging rules. It's just play the game. And we occasionally restrict really cracked units, but just like 1 or 2 things. And abilities, yeah. All right. This is only your second tourney? Damn, dude. Nice job. Keep up the good work, Iceman. All right. Let's see if you made top 4. It's going to be close. Walnut says, hooray, a point. That's right. Oh, Iceman, I think you just barely got top 4, buddy. We're going to have to see. Oh, shit. Okay, you need B6 to lose. If B6 beats Jack, they're going to take your spot. That's it. So there's a game between Jack and B6. Oh, I think either of them might take your spot because your tiebreaker score isn't very strong, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tight. We'll see. We'll see. It also depends if either of them were your opponent. Yeah. Yeah, the Thunder Barge is oppressive in land battle, but in domination, not really. Because in domination, you can just call in reinforcements or just kind of ignore it and win on the ground and on objectives. But yeah, in land battle, single entities become a lot more problematic. Yeah, it's B6 for Jack is a very good dwarf player too, though. I don't know if he's playing his Dowie today, but if he is playing dwarves, then it's probably over because Skaven just dump on dwarves. You had lots of fun? Hey, I'm glad to hear that. Always cool to see new homies getting the scene and doing well. We're old faithful around here, man. The old Warhammer is going to keep going on and on and on. Yeah, we're doing it, man. We've been doing Ham War for a long time. That is for sure. Okay, let's see here. How does this look? All right, 11:27 there. Dang, all right, we're getting there. As a Khorne main, how do you deal with Skaven? All right, I got you, homie. I got you. So you're playing against Skaven. I don't play Khorne too much, but I have a general idea of the matchup. You want to go wide as hell. Did you go wide or did you go elite? Because if you go elite, Skaven are just going to give you the business. You want something like this. Double cultist. Because cultists are obscenely good against Skaven. They're really hard to kill and they can dive onto weapon seams and cause havoc. And then you're going to want to get probably Valkia. Because Valkia can just go hunt down the Doomwheel characters and also just be disruptive as hell. Couple Fleshhounds just to grab the point quickly. And from here, we can mix in Khorne Gores and reinforcements. Forsaken as well. Marauder Horsemen just in case. Furies. And I think we need another Fleshhound, so we'll probably cut one of you. Get the Hounds of the Blood Hunt. And Minotaurs in this matchup, I don't think are super necessary. Blood Beast maybe could be okay, but you could do one anti-large Minotaur in case, but I don't know. I think the Marauder Horseman can handle that for you. So this is probably what I would do. Like something along these lines. Yeah, like another Hound unit. So you just like swarm them. You build up a big army, you envelop them. You get the 2 cultists in the front lines. You swarm the backfield with Furies, dive their weapon seams. You can use Marauder Horsemen to dive their weapon seams too. It's just about engaging them across the board and mitigating their weapon seams threats is really the thing. Any tips for Tomb Kings versus Khorne? Oh man, I'm not really good at Tomb Kings anymore, but I can give you a loose idea of what to do. All right, so Tomb Kings against Khorne. I'm like kind of a jack of all trades, but yeah. Okay, let's do this. Hey, what's up, Oopsai? Can you tell a StarCraft player 2 on how to understand this game, but from a perspective that you're an ogre with no large tongue, please? Okay, so this game is... It's like an RTS game, but instead of building bases and building infrastructure like you do in StarCraft. So in StarCraft, for example, you might build, you're going to build your pylon, your gateways, your cybernetics core, and that's going to dictate the path of your units. In this game, you do not build bases, but rather you are given a flat amount of resources to spend. So let's say you're playing StarCraft and you're playing against Zerg, and the computer were to, or the game was to give you, 10,000 minerals, and you can build your perfect army to try and fight them. That is what you do here. So this game purely focuses on the battle element of RTS and microing in battles. You manage heroes, so it's like Warcraft 3 combined with platoon, kind of regiment-based RTS gameplay. So no base building, but rather just kind of battles clashing is the general idea. So what your opponent is playing before the game. I'm Tomb Kings, he's Nurgle. You build an army that you think is going to be able to beat the Nurgle army based on the map that you're playing on. Every map has different terrain. Line of sight is better on some maps. Hiding, easier to hide and ambush people on certain maps. So it's a big knowledge check. StarCraft is an exponentially harder game to master than this, but the knowledge check of this game is much bigger than StarCraft because we have 24 playable factions in high-level competitive play. Hopefully that is a decent abridged example. And if you want to play in our tournaments, you just need to join our Discord, and we announce them frequently. We have our esports website, which was made just for this game. So it's called TotalTavern.com. So you can see upcoming tournaments, the leaderboards for tournaments. You can sign up. But the important thing is being in our Discord channel, which is where we announce all the tournaments and stuff. And that's where you would find people to practice with. You could ask questions. We have forums on how to play and everything. Anyways, hopefully that's a good answer for you, boss. And again, you can always message myself or others in Discord, and we can help get you started. Somebody wanted to know Tomb Kings versus Khorne, right? Yeah, so Tomb Kings versus the Khorne dog. Okay. So probably you go Cetra. Cetra is just really good. He can beat Valky in a duel. You put him up on the Sphinx. You can cut his items. You're going to want Curse Blades, Protection, and maybe Usirians for his spells. Unyielding Will is good. Wrath of Patral you can cut, and you're going to do that. 300. Oh, you wanted an actual ogre accent. Oh, shit. Yeah, no, that would have been hard. Okay, double Sphinx is probably the way to go against Khorne, and then you're going to get a front line of Nehakar warriors backed up by spearmen. Okay. Couple like this, and then I would say maybe one Ushabti Great Bow. This is a really good opening. You have the infantry dominated, and you have the Great Bow to punish Minotaurs and things like that. For reinforcements, you always want to max out on the horsemen here, and you could probably cut these guys actually and get a skeleton archer or two. Would be very, very nice, just for grabbing the objectives out of the gates, right? All right, so from here, Ushabti to deal with infantry. You're going to want to get Sepulchral Stalkers to deal with large threats. So probably one of those. Tomb Guard Halberds are okay. You can mix in Kepler Guard for a little bit of bump and grind there. A couple Skeleton Spearmen. And Skeleton Spearmen stacked with Ushabti are going to be very, very good too. And maybe one more Skeleton Horseman, something like that. You can probably go lighter on this. Get another Chaff unit. So something along these lines would be a very good build, I think. It depends on the map as well. I haven't played Tomb Kings as much, but neutralizing Horsemen is really important to protect it. Yeah, the Light Cav are very good walnuts. So the factions that I'm capable of winning tournaments with are Nurgle, Chaos Dwarves, and probably Warriors of Chaos right now. Those are my best factions. Although I'm a little bit outdated, honestly. I've been so caught up in playing Lord of the Rings lately that my blade is not as sharp as it once was. But Nurgle and Empire, of course. I'm pretty okay at Empire. Yeah. All right. Beastmen versus Dwarves. Hold on one sec. Let me see if they're waiting for me in the top 4, and I can happily do this. Okay, we're ready for top 4, so ask me that question next time there's downtime. On ladder, how would you deal with someone using Tusk and Belchers? Always seem to... Yeah, Thunder Tusks are a busted unit. They're actually banned from tournaments, so... ask me that question when we got some downtime here. Okay, so we have Daniken, Anticity, Attack Speed, Enjoyer, and B6. Are going to be advancing to top 4. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and advance to top 4 here. Here we go. Thank you to all the players for playing today. Been super fun. Warriors of Chaos need to be re-explored now that Hellstriders have been nerfed a little bit. It's going to change a lot of their matchups, so I need to explore that. Okay. At the end of the tournament today, we're going to hang around for half an hour, I think, and we're just going to ask you guys questions. or you guys can ask questions about builds, guides, anything, and I can sit there and just answer. We'll do like a little Q&A at the end. All right. So Anticity and B6 are having a rematch here. Okay. Top 4 time. So we have Anticity versus B6. We could watch a rematch of that fight. Or Daniken and Attack Speed Enjoyer. Daniken versus Attack Speed Enjoyer. Let's do that. We haven't seen Daniken play yet today, so we'll do that. Yo, lobby code, please. So we're going to cast Daniken Trop versus Attack Speed Enjoyer. Hippo, I think, dropped. Yeah, Hippo dropped, I think. Yeah. I think he dropped out of the tournament. He lost round 1. Maybe didn't want to keep grinding. I'm not sure. Who knows? Who knows? All right. So there's Anticity's game and Attack Speed's lobby. Let me message them and get the lobby code, please. Exploit and lobby code. All right. So messaging the players. We'll be getting in soon. GG, well played. Yeah, glad you guys had fun playing in today's tournament. And yeah, life's good, man. Life is good. No complaints. Wife and I are going to be moving soon. We live in a place we like, but our lease is coming up, and it is way too expensive. We're kind of being priced out, so we're going to be moving. Very excited for that. We'll keep you guys posted. Maybe we'll move somewhere where you homies reside. Who knows? And here we are. So Beastmen versus... Okay, let me let them know. In lobby, in Attack Speed lobby. So we got Beastmen once again. So I think we have 2 Beastmen players in the top 4. They're a very strong faction. And let's see what it's going to be. What is it going to be? So High Elves, Skaven, Beastmen, and whatever Daniken's playing. Let me see if I can find the SFT declaration. Okay, so we're looking here. Let's see what we can find. Where do they declare their faction? Okay, that looks like there was 2 tournaments going on, so tricky stuff. They're around here somewhere. All right, well, I guess we'll find out in a second, regardless. That's cool, CZR. Morning from Japan. That would be Konbanwa is good night. Is it? So in Japan, you have what, the 3 greetings. It's Ohayo gozaimasu, Konbanwa, Konnichiwa. Konnichiwa is like afternoon. How do you say good morning? Yeah, no, it's Konbanwa is good night. Konnichiwa is like good afternoon, and good morning is Ohayo gozaimasu. Is that what it is? Oh man, it's been so long. Daniken's playing Dark Elves against Beastmen. Now, typically that is a hard counter. Beastmen hard counter Dark Elves, but yeah, Frothy, we were actually looking at the Tacoma area. Yeah, we were looking up there. It's something we're thinking. All right, Dark Elves versus the Bray Herd. This is going to be a fun one. Now, normally this matchup is really forbidden for Dark Elves. They kind of just get steamrolled, but like Daniken has been able to really do quite well in some matchups. Yeah, Ryan probably, honestly. I think at some point it's going to happen. Who do you think are the top 3 Legendary Lord for High Elf multiplayer battles? Ooh, probably Legendary Lord. Imric, Eltharion, and Teclis. They're all good, though. Like, that's the thing about High Elf Legendary Lords. They're all viable, you know? Yeah. Hell yeah, Frothy. It's good to hear. So it begins the greatest battle of our time. The Beastmen versus the Druki. So we got double elf faction. Sorry you have an ACL injury, by the way, citizen. That sucks. Yeah, it's not fun. My wife had the same thing. We were doing a grappling jiu-jitsu class, and she tore her ACL. That put a stop on that real quick, on that hobby. Yeah. And it wasn't even during the grappling either. It was just like a shitty freak accident. Basically, they had so we were doing some drills, like bouncing drills, and the mat in the jiu-jitsu gym had an uneven, like the mat was uneven. Like there was like a crack in one area, and one part of the mat was higher and the other was lower, because they just didn't do a good job placing their mats. And then her foot came down where the crack was, and like it obviously went down at a weird angle, and her ACL went. Really rough. Yeah, not fun. I used to love doing grappling and martial arts and stuff, but as I've gotten older, I'm like, I just don't want to be injured. You know? Yeah. Yeah, so casual philosophy, there are some factions in this game that hard counter other ones, but it's not to say they can't win. It's usually, like, worst case, it's like 60-40-ish. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but it can happen. I'm begging for a Rackhearth, Scourge Runner, Chariot Lord pick. Oh, that's a big ask, Alexander. That's a big ask. The injuries piled up the closer you got to 30. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Something about, like, so when I was doing jiu-jitsu, I remember in Northern California, I went to this place called Guerrilla Jiu-Jitsu, which was pretty great in San Jose. It didn't, yeah, as I got more experienced in it, I was never great because my wrist problems started happening around then, so I had to quit very early before I could get a lot of reps. But one thing I really didn't like about it was all the knee, like the attacks on the legs. If somebody's just attacking my shoulders and the neck and the arms, I'm like, okay, that's like, that doesn't feel as flimsy. But when they start attacking your like ankle locks and like knee bars and like whatever the hell those things are called, I don't really know because I never got into that stuff. But like I really didn't like the attacks on my knees and my ankles, and like that kind of made me go away from the sport because like I don't want to like be limping, you know, like yeah, it's more dangerous, right? And sure, like I was training with like white belts and blue belts, right? So these guys aren't like experts, and they were like trying to execute these like moves on your knees and shit, and you're just like, yeah, I don't know. It just didn't do it for me. But man, oh man, I love grappling. I love wrestling. I love martial arts in general, but judo, you aren't allowed to do leg attacks until usually brown belt. Yeah, that sounds better actually. Maybe I'll go do judo. Yeah, who knows? Although judokas get pretty beat up as well, from what I've heard. Yeah. I love MMA. MMA is like the only sport that I enjoy watching nowadays. I love watching mixed martial arts. It's great stuff, you know. A lot of like team sports, it's kind of, you know, goes to the highest bidder, right? Like these teams will just pay people to like, you know, one week they'll be like, yo, I'm a proud sports champion of the city of Los Angeles, and then the next week some other team pays them more, and they're like, oh well, now I'm a proud champion of this city. It's like, come on, dog, you guys are just mercenaries. It's not where's the team spirit? Yeah, that's kind of what's fun about like high school sports. Like high school sports, it's like your school versus that school, and you know, college as well has that to an extent. College does have a mercenary system, but not quite as much, right? It's more in the beginning, right, out of the gates when they're being recruited straight out of high school. Yeah. Are you sure you don't want to be a powerful wizard with a walking staff? I mean, the cool part, I mean, yes, being a wizard with a walking staff is cool, but you actually don't know magic, so then it just kind of sucks. Yeah. Yeah, all the techniques that go against the legs in jiu-jitsu aren't as gradual as an armbar, for example. You go from feeling nothing to like being injured. Right. That's tricky. Same turn, did martial arts for years, but it's too rough on the hands. Need to be able to play guitar. Right, yeah. You got to start thinking about the future. Yeah, I already have an autoimmune disease that like messes up my hands, so I don't need it to be worse, you know? Hey, Zed Bread, I appreciate that, man. The only black belt I got is always being beaten up. Oh, yeah. Classics. Dude, I'm for sure going to be an old wizard. Yeah, I'm going to dress in just like a giant gray robe and just walk around town with a gnarled walking staff. Yeah. Yeah, Beastmen are really good. They're top 3 faction of the game. Dark Elves with a very aggressive Witch Elf build. Look at that. 4 Witch Elves, man. That's pretty savage. All right. Let's get it. It's going to be a Supreme Sorceress of Beasts with Flock of Doom, most likely. Bleak Swords in the front to get massacred and run over. And it's going to be Witch Elves. I'm not playing today. We're just casting. Today is a casting day. So we'll break it down. It's going to be the Changer's Madhouse. Changer's Madhouse has one of the... yeah, F and Dave, something similar to that. I have basically like an enthesitis of my tendons in my body. So like arthritis attacks your joints. My joints are fine, but my body attacks my own tendons. So like my wrist tendons, my Achilles, my hamstring, and my leg. It basically attacks all that shit. Yeah, which is annoying. I watch UFC and One Championship. Yeah. I watch all martial arts, really. Yeah. But mostly UFC stuff, to be just completely honest. All right. This is top 4 right now. Yeah, so we got Beastmen, High Elves, Dark Elves, and Skaven. Skaven made top 4 as well. Oh, I've watched professional sumo. That shit's wild. Yeah, it's always really funny in sumo to see like a slightly smaller guy like tossing a big guy around, using like his weight and you know, angles and things like that. All right, guys, breaking it down. Let's take a look at the old Druchii army. It's going to be a battle line of witch elves. So witch elves are really weak against shock cavalry and archers, but if they can get on top of the gore units and the infantry units of the beastmen, I mean, they can rip them to shreds. It's going to be very fun to see. So yeah, very much a game of cat and mouse. Can you avoid the beastmen shooting and get them in unimpeded? If you can, they do work. Front line's going to be bleak swords. These are the rank and file of the dark elves, basically just designed to get massacred. And the Lord choice for Danikentrop is going to be a Supreme Sorceress of Beasts. Just going to be dropping Flock of Doom to do a little bit of AoE damage show. That is fun indeed. Now, looking at the Beastmen army, it's going to be Gore Herds on the Vanguard. They'll trade okay into Witch Elves, but they do end up losing that fight. Ungor Raiders in the back, Raiders and Agors all around the battlefield. Some Harpies to dive on Archers. And a very elite army from the Beastmen in the back. It's going to be Korok's Man Rippers, so elite Bestigor units. Another Bestigor, which is very good against infantry for sure. I mean, these guys will beat Witch Elves, actually. And then another Bestigor on the other side as well. So the Beastmen coming in with a very, very wild, kind of unorthodox, semi-elite infantry build. The Lord choice is going to be Malagor the Dark Omen, Flock of Doom as well. No surprises there. And that is going to be all she wrote. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is soon to be on. A beautiful Flock of Doom right here. It's going to be hitting a couple units. It hits the Ungors, hits the Gore Herds, and it hits these Gore Herds as well. And also using the Wand ability, I believe. Oh, that's from the Doomfire Warlocks. Yeah, they do have the Doom Bolt ability. So, able to tickle the pickle of those Ungor Raiders a little bit, which is cool. But Druchii are getting objective 3. The Beastmen are much quicker and more aggressive, so they're going to be getting these objectives. Holy shit. Don't forget your back objective, for the love of God. Oh my God, no. You got to get this. You got to get the objective. Oh no, the Beastmen are going to throw the game if they don't start accruing points back there. Oh, that's such pain. Oh my God, he didn't notice that he didn't get that point. Man, you know, it happens. You know, it's like when you're in the heat of a tournament match, it's very easy to make mistakes, right? Like when I was playing in Grubby's tournament in one of my grand finals games against Sing Sing, I just straight up forgot to build a shop, which just instantly like cost me the game, you know? Like shit like that can happen. When you're under pressure, you know, you're being watched by a lot of people. It's very stressful. But, okay, he moves back. Oh, no, but then he moves off again. No, what are you doing? Oh, man. Okay, that's giving the Dark Elves a huge advantage because now they don't need to worry about rushing. They can just trade carefully. Oh, what the hell's going on over here? Malagor lands to try and hit the Supreme Sorceress, but the Doomfire Warlocks get in and surround Malagor. So the Doomfire Warlocks do really good damage against light armor, which Malagor only has 15 armor, and he's getting bullied. He's at 15 leadership. He's very, very low. He's trying to get away. Oh, dude, he delved too greedily and too deeply. Okay, is he going to be able to get away? 20 speed. Malagor's trying to get away here, but Danikentrop with the micro. He comes around the outside and micros back in and knocks Malagor back into the pit. But Malagor over here, we do see the Bestigor herds moving in, and they are able to save him. Holy shit, that would have been the game right there. All right, so Malagor does survive. Crisis averted. Just barely. Just barely. The rest of the battle lines are going to be clashing, so out on the outside here, you're going to see the Witch Elves popping the Witch's Brew, which makes them go apeshit, basically, and trade very, very well. So the Witch's Brew has been activated across the entire battlefield. You see a lot of the Druchii units going to be firing off the Witch's Brew. So their stat lines are going to be steroided. Flock of Dooms are also being activated. And the Dark Elves are actually slightly out-trading the Beastmen in some of these fights. Now we see heavy cavalry coming in. It is going to be Coldwind Knights as well. So Coldwind Knights have arrived. These are Velociraptor cavalry, and they actually do beat Centaurs in straight-up combat, but they're slower and much less maneuverable there. All right. So pulling back are the Coldwind Knights, and the Witch Elves continue fighting here. It does look like the Beastmen are going to win this fight just due to sheer numbers, but elsewhere on the battlefield, we do see the Beastmen Unga Bunga in the front line being run over by the Bare Naked Ladies here. So the Witch Elves are able to get in. Gore Herds are being chopped up, and Coldwind Spear Riders have now come in as well to provide a little bit of a heavily armored support. Probably going to go and try and shut down the Archers, to be honest with you. So retreating back are the Doomfire Warlocks. We do have some Witch Elves moving up. The Beastmen still have not gotten their back objective, by the way. Oh my God, dude. That is such pain. That is such pain, because now the points are even. Homie would have twice as many points as him. This is giving the Dark Elves so much comfort and so much reprieve from the aggression. And now the Dark Elf army ability has popped, so the entire Dark Elf army is going to be getting leadership, vigor, and damage. But it lasts for what, like 2 minutes or something like that? Yeah, it's 2 minutes. The Dark Elves basically go on steroids and have like a murder hobo frenzy spree. But yeah, after that, it obviously wears off. Now, the Bestigor herds are doing quite well. We do see a Bestigor herd here and here holding very, very well, grinding through these forces, but they are going to be afflicted by a Flock of Doom. So the Sorceress of the Dark Elves casting Flock of Doom. Coldwood Knights moving up as Witch Elves are chasing back many of the Beastmen units, and the middle objective is in the process of maybe flipping to the Dark Elves here, as Dark Elves are going to be winning another fight versus these Bestigors. Just a numbers game. Witch Elves also poison you, so when they hit you, they lower your stats. So they're not great against armor, but they can still do all right. Their bonus versus infantry is quite substantial, and we do see that Bleak Swords are in there as well. All right, the back point still hasn't been captured. Coldwood Knights being blasted right here, and yeah, Dark Elves are in a very comfortable position because of the objective. If you're trading evenly with someone and you're up on points, then you're basically winning the game. But yeah, in this case, man, it is tough. Yeah, the Dark Elves not going for that objective there, which is probably a good idea, because if you go for the point, it's going to draw your opponent's attention to the point. If you just ignore it and let it sit there, then that's maybe going to let them forget about it a little bit longer. Yeah, we'll see. So, objective situation. Objective 3 for Dark Elves. Objective 2 still being owned by the Bray Herd. The Beastmen are still in a good shape. Value trading is dead even this game, by the way. 6.2 against 6.1. So both players trading very, very evenly on value. Both armies are relatively tattered. Malagor is beat up, and some of the value that the Dark Elves do have is tied up in Malagor, which isn't terribly impactful. Coldwood Knights over here able to defeat some of the Gore Herds in combat, and now he's going to steal the objective. So now we are going to see... yeah, attack speed enjoyer is going to be noticing it. All right, so he does move over. He calls in these units. They obviously have an attack order to go secure that objective, and he does now finally get the memo. Dark Elves fighting over towards Objective 3. Witch Elves being uber cost-effective. Really good Flock of Dooms this game. And this is basically what Witch Elves are born to do, is just rip apart chaff units like Gore Herds, things like that. They're going to get a ton of kills, and we do see the Supreme Sorceress getting attacked by Harpies and Malagor the Dark Omen, so we'll have to keep tabs on that fight. But the Witch Elves, very, very solid here. Should be having a good time. Although they are very heavily surrounded. And it looks like a unit of Khorngors did arrive from Vanguard to change the dynamics of that fight. Back on the middle objective here, we do see the Witch Elves forcing off the Beastmen. And the middle point could be flipping to the Druchii. And the Beastmen have finally gotten their back objective. So they are paying attention to that now. And that is going to be getting her done. So they get that point right there, ladies and gentlemen. Middle objective here is held by the Druchii. And their big cavalry corps probably going to be able to come over and wrestle this. Dark Riders also coming there to help, as the Beastmen are getting a little bit overextended. They're pushing back, instead of fighting on the middle point, they're pushing for their opponent's home objective here, which is very risky. They get quick reinforcements and they're able to, secure that really, really fast. But now the Dark Elves are going to take the middle objective, and the Beastmen are pretty much all in on the side fight here, which they are not winning. Danikentrop seems to be ahead on in many regards. Khorngors, though, are going to be a problem. Khorngor spam in the mid game by the Beastmen. Really strong because the Dark Elves are mainly spamming cavalry units out, so getting all these halberds with their bonus versus large is going to be incredibly good. And here, Malagor the Dark Omen is going to be surrounded once again by Velociraptor cavalry, and Danikentrop with very good micro is able to get the Supreme Sorceress out of the fight, escape the clutches of Malagor, and continue casting spells. But looking around, yeah, it does look Dark Elf favored, right? Like, you're just seeing more purple on the map. Dark Elves also have the objective advantage. If the Beastmen had captured their home objective, it would be like 800-something points right now to 450. Now, that still means the Dark Elves would win on 2 points, but that would give a hell of a bigger cushion, that's for sure, to the Beastmen, where they could grind, they could value trade back, but now they're going to be under a little bit more stress as this game does go on. Malagor getting very, very low, by the way. He's at 10 leadership. This could be a game-losing play, but he does manage to fly up in the sky and get away, so he does escape that fight right there. And a lot of Velociraptor cavalry battling Khorngors with Dark Riders. Doesn't feel great, sending cavalry into halberds, but the halberds are just massively outgunned. And the Witch Elves are going to be pulling in the back. So, yeah, these Witch Elves will get in, and they should be able to just murder hobo these Khorngors in combat. Khorngors are halberd units, but they don't trade super well into, like, these really killy infantry pieces. They're currently wavering. Dark Elves are holding the Bray Herd at bay. Beastmen trying to call in mobility pieces, so Centaurs to contest the battlefield again. And in the middle, the Dark Elves actually relinquished the point. So here's what I'm saying, right? If the Beastmen had just captured that home point and then got this back, they would suddenly be approaching 1,000 points and being able to win on one objective. And that would be an exponentially harder game for the Dark Elves. So that is tough, tough stuff. So Witch Elves fighting versus Pesties with Coldwood Knight support. Centaur is going to be getting a beautiful charge, by the way, so a lot of these Witch Elves are going to get punted by the cavalry. Witch Elves are really weak against shock cavalry charges and archers, but they're good against most other infantry units. Coldwood Knights do get a counter charge, though, so when the Gores moved in, the Centaurs, the Velociraptor cav came in and enveloped them with a little bit of a counter surround here. Middle point is owned by the Beastmen, and Beastmen are currently down on points right now. Call-ins for the Dark Elves are going to be Bleak Swords, so just sending in chaff infantry to try and wrestle this And in the meantime, a very dominant victory for the Dark Elves over here on this side. They are able to claim this. And their mass cavalry, I think the Dark Elves just have more on the field. Like, you're noticing expensive bricks of cavalry that are going to be very, very brutal against these tattered Beastmen positions. And also on the backside, by the way, we do see the Dark Riders of Danikentrop get that outside objective, or threaten it, which means the Beastmen are going to have to respond. So Beastmen then send in a 700 gold unit, and you run away with your 500 gold unit. They're wasting 200 gold chasing your 500 gold. Those are like really minutia principles of domination mode that are very, very big. And that goes for most RTS games, right? Like, for example, in Warcraft 3, if you're playing Warcraft 3 and you have, let's say, a very, very cheap unit, like a ghoul, okay? And your opponent really wants to get the kill. They're chasing it with their level 5 Demon Hunter, and the Demon Hunter isn't fighting in another fight that's a more important fight. Well, then you're winning massively, right? You're distracting a massive amount of value for very little return. Danikentrop folding up this position. The Cold Moon Knights getting in, bullying the Centaurs, and now the Velociraptor Cavalry are going to move in, and they're going to start putting in a lot of work against the Ungabunga Raiders. This is probably going to seal the deal, though. We do see Malagor the Dark Omen getting caught and killed by the Sorceress, and there's going to be a Doom Bolt coming down on his head from one of the Dark... Oh, damn! He just got karate chopped. Malagor down to almost dead, 200 HP. That was a Doom Bolt ability from one of the Doomfire Warlocks on the map. And Malagor does manage to get away, but 200 HP, he's likely going to be flying off the map. So don't feel too bad for the Beastmen player, guys, because even if he did capture all 3 objectives, or all 2 objectives, he still would have lost this game, assuming the game played out the same way, because the Dark Elves are in a very dominant position right now. The Beastmen are definitely on the ropes. And yeah, it would still be a point where you would probably see a victory for the Dark Elves on just 2 objectives. So on the backside, Dark Riders are capturing this, but they're going to be harried and hunted down by some Centaurs here. So yeah, sad moves, but you know, Dark Elves usually get smashed by Beastmen. So this is cool to see that there are some players who can innovate enough and have good enough micro and decision making that they can take on hard matchups and do very, very well. All right. GG, well played. Beastmen are completely routed off the battlefield. I would not be surprised to see the Beastmen leave the game relatively soon. We do see Centaurs and other mobility pieces. On the outside, the Beastmen are completely swept. Their troops over here are run down by the cavalry of the Druchii. And Cold Moon Knights also going to be chasing down Centaurs. A very favored fight right there, ladies and gentlemen. And Doomfire Warlocks getting into Centis here. They're very quick, 92 movement speed, and they have them poisoned, so that means they're going to be able to harry them down. Doomfire Warlocks are such a cool unit. They look freaking awesome. Yeah, just all these crazy dudes over here. Yeah, they're going to get swarmed, though, probably. There's a lot of Beastmen there, but they'll put up an okay fight, all things considered. Now the back objective is going to be taken. That's going to be a triple cap for the Druchii. So Dark Elves are going to have 3 objectives. Beastmen are going to have none. 3 victory tickets per second towards the 1,500 needed to win. Bestigor Herd is going to be on its way over, but this objective is flipping very, very hard. Very, very hard indeed. All right, guys. So Danikentrop is going to be most likely advancing to the Grand Finals to face either Skaven or High Elves. It's either going to be B6's Skaven or Anticity's High Elves. So that will be very, very cool indeed. Yeah, it was fun, man. Normally, this matchup in the past, we've seen Dark Elves get steamrolled pretty bad here. But, well, we actually see the Supreme Sorceress get surrounded by some Centaurs. And are they going to be able to get the kill? 173 HP. Getting a kill there would be nice. But the points lead is getting too heavy. All right, 3 victory tickets per second. They're going to be at 1,100 victory tickets here in a moment. And the Beastmen do actually kill the Lord. So very good play by Attack Speed Enjoyer, right? He was able to get that and take down the enemy Lord. We do see the Bestigors ignoring the objective again. Definitely should stay on that. So if he had gotten that objective earlier, if he had captured it, he would probably have 1,000 points also. He would be around 1,000 points, I would say. It would be even, and it would still be Dark Hill favored, but it would be it'd be tricky. Yeah, getting a pick there is very, very nice. I mean, the value difference is too big, though. It's 12,006 against 9,700. I mean, the Dark Elves just have so much more on the field, right? So it's just these 2 infantry units versus, you know, a bunch of cavalry, some infantry over here as well, infantry on the far side hanging out there. It is good. It is good indeed. All right, those guys do get chased down. Fare thee well, Centaurs with throwing axes. Doombolt activated from the Doomfire Warlocks, able to tickle the pickle of some of the Bestigor herds. And the problem is if you move these guys to the middle, the cavalry can just come and steal this objective. So you would need to have something guarding this point if you want to make a play for it, right? Current points, the Beastman only has 255 supplies, so it's not like he can really call in a lot. Maybe like a cheap spear unit to get back there could be quite nice as well. Advancing in are the Centis, but being swarmed back by the Doomfire Warlocks. Doomfire Warlocks, of course, quite good against them. Big cavalry corps out. 1250 points, so it is a triple cap situation for the Beastmen now. The Beastmen need to get all 3 objectives to win this. And then Rohan arrived. Yeah, I don't think Rohan's going to be arriving anytime soon here, guys. I do not think so. All right, Doomfire Warlocks are chasing. They are getting her done. Dark Riders coming around the outside to threaten the back objective. Very good play by Attack Speed Enjoyer. He calls in a Halberd to defend that point. And just going to be putting all his marbles on the best scores. But he needs to get all 3 objectives to win, which is so brutal. Which is so freaking brutal. Doomfire Warlocks actually, I believe, do beat Centaurs in combat. They have better stats. And also just, yeah, very high weapon strength at 50, which is pretty brutal. And they have some bound magic abilities. So I'm really happy to see Doomfire Warlocks making a comeback in the meta, right? They're such a cool unit. And they were kind of memed on for so long, but apparently they have a place. And their place is the Beastmen matchup for providing supporting magic and, more importantly, out-trading Centaurs in combat. Which is very, very good, right? GG, well played. The Cult of Excess is going to be advancing on. The Dark Elves are going to be in the grand finals of today's big old sweaty sausage fest. All right, let's get it. Let's have some fun. Oh, the blessed number, 69 kills on the Sorceress. But yeah, Flock of Doom is good. Witch Elves eating pretty well, honestly. No, the resources are always the same, Jared. They never change. Yeah, everyone gets a flat amount of resources. General, thank you for resubscribing. Oh no, I missed most of the stream. Don't worry, the VOD is here for you, and there were some great games. So 1392, 1100, and 1200. Witch Elves really, they only cost 750, so his Witch Elf core really carried that game, actually. Really ripped up the Beastmen, it looked like. The best scores, 1,000, 800, and 1,400. So good infantry performances on both sides, actually. Yeah, it was fun. He put his hooves up and surrendered, that's right. Okay, finals. So we're going to host this. Host game as a spectator. Let's get you out there. There we go. And let's do that. Okay. And how is it going to be? So that is going to be Daniken Trop versus... Let's see if Anticity or B6 won on the other side. Anticity won. Okay, so we have the Kraken King in the grand finals. The defending world champion. Playing High Elves today, which is very fun. All right. So there we go. And the map for the grand finals is going to be determined by the pick and bans. So we'll see what they end up doing. All right. Yeah, boy, hey. Look, that's a good horse to bet on, that's for sure. Yes. Can you show how you would play Beastmen versus Dwarves? I can after this game. Once we finish the finals, we're going to hang around and do some Q&A. We're going to do a little bit of Q&A. Malagor probably got like 1,600 value, I would say. Yeah, we have a High Elf versus Dark Elf match. Isn't this fun? We got a very lore-accurate duel. And Daniken Trop is probably the best Dark Elf player out there right now. And Anticity, I don't know if he plays High Elves a lot, but he's, the #1 ranked tournament player at the moment. Until somebody dethrones him. If they can in the upcoming championship, certainly not going to be easy to do that. We have our previous season finals coming up soon. I'm going to schedule that in a hot moment. So that'll be pretty cool. Let's see how we're looking here. Looking good. The sibling matchup. That's right. That is right. Hyped to see you back on Total War. Oh yeah, we're always, don't worry, Willow. We're always going to do some Total War stuff. There will be times where we cover other things here and there, but you can know this is Total War is the campfire at the end of a lonely road that will always be there, coming back. After finals, we do a 2v2 in Age of the Ring. I am down to play with you after the stream, Pone, because I have to shut down the stream to get Age of the Ring working because I have to run it in a different setting, which is really annoying. Yeah. All right, how are we looking? High Elves, Dark Elves. And I just need to know what the map is going to be. The Blood Grove is going to be the map. All right, the Blood Grove. Blood Grove. Cool. It's a map that is literally shaped by like corn. I guess Dark Elves would probably be more inclined to worship some corn than High Elves. High Elves are pretty devout, I would imagine, with their deities. Dark Elves, they dabble in Slanesh. And, I think Cain is basically like the same thing as corn, right? We're probably going to stream Age of the Ring tomorrow. Yeah, we're going to do Age of the Ring tomorrow. I love that game. It's so fun. What's the prize pool? Okay, so how it works on... let me explain how the tournament circuit competitive scene works in Total War. So we have Total Tavern. There's tournaments that are hosted on this website for a period of 2 to 3 or 4 months, depending on how long the season goes. And every time you win a tournament, it feeds that data into our leaderboard here, okay? So currently, the number 1 ranked tournament leaderboard player is Charix, right? But what ends up happening is, at the end of the season, I invite the top 16 players in the world who are on the tournament leaderboard to play in a major event. They then play in a major event, which are, you can see all the previous ones listed here. Oh, shit, I forgot to update the season tab. We should be on season 11 right now. Okay, I got to update that. But then whoever wins this, so last season was season 9, who was won by Anticity, or not last season, but the previous championship we had. And then whoever wins this wins like a cash prize. So there's not a cash prize for the regular qualifier tournaments, but for the major event that you qualify for, it's anywhere from like $300, $500, all the way up to maybe $2,000 if we can get sponsors and if we get Creative Assembly to sponsor it and have it as one of their official events. So that is kind of how that goes. Yeah, that's how the competitive scene works here. Okay. Both players are ready. Let's load in. Hopefully that explanation was good enough for you. And here we go. Dark Elves versus High Elves here on the Blood Grove. Ah, General 56. Thank you, man. Kane's Wrath. Never heard of that one. Ah, that's good stuff. Holy shit. That is 4 Sisters of Avalorn. Oh my god. 4 Sisters of Avalorn. Extremely elite, expensive archers with nets. Oh my god. That is a wild-ass build, but again, that's very much an Anticity build. So here we are in the Blood Grove. It's going to be an It's-a-style map, which means you have 3 objectives, somewhat offset. Like, you have a partial home objective. Like, you could see it's not perfectly lined up, but it's almost negligible, to be completely honest with you. So Anticity's build is going to be Rangers in the front. Rangers are very good at trading into the Bleak Swords and Dread Spears. The rest of his build is going to be Quad Sisters of Avalorn. Oh my god, this is going to be very fun. So he's got what appears to be 4 of those. And to synergize with that, he does have the Kindle Flame synergy and nets. So basically all he does is net you down and shoots you with the 4 archers, melts that unit, and moves on to the next one. All right, so that is that. Now looking at Danikentrop's army, Danikentrop going to be using Bleak Swords backed up by Witch Elves. Witch Elves will beat Rangers for sure, but Bleak Swords will not. So very aggressive Dark Elf build, and there is a chance that Daniken's going to be able to overwhelm the lines of Anticity just with the sheer number of infantry. And we do have Scourge Runner Chariots. So Scourge Runner Chariots are really good at shooting the heavy cavalry and monsters of the High Elves, and also can be used to run over archers too. They're still anti-infantry chariots that pack a little bit of a punch. So yeah, this is going to be wild shit. Anticity is going to have a hard time defending his backfield. We're going to see. Yeetus Deletus build, yeah. This High Elf build has a lot of potential to just delete you off the board. But it's going to be hard. Danikentrop is a very good player. We do see an attempted net going down. So 1 net on the Scourge Runner Chariot, and we have 2 Sisters of Avalorn coming in. The net's going to last another 15 seconds, and now we're going to get to see the first deletion, potentially. On the back, it is going to be Reavers, and those Chariots are going to eat at least 2 volleys. So, volleys coming in. Yeah, their armor kind of holding firm, and the Witch Elves also absorbed some of that damage as well. That's going to be another volley right there, as they do escape the nets, but they do lose a lot of HP and do get melted down. In the front, it is going to be the Rangers moving in against Bleak Sword, so all those fights are going to be favored. And oh my god, the Sisters over here deleting the Witch Elf source code from the game. So that one Witch Elf unit getting absolutely cooked up here by the Sisters of Avalorn. So yeah, Coldo Knights now going to get focus fired as well, so there they go. And yeah, Coldo Knights are losing a lot of HP. Danikentrop going to be trying to weasel around the flanks and get into the backfield, which is a brilliant idea. Over here, we do see the backfield getting opened up. Anticity here, his archers are going to need to retreat back, but shooting into the Witch Elves, getting a lot of damage right there. And now Scourge Runner Chariots have penetrated into the secondary. So this is where Danikentrop comes back. You go run down these 2 Sisters over there. That's going to be 1,400 gold. That's going to be big value right there. On the side here, it looks like the High Elves have stabilized. 2 Sisters of Avalorn still very much functional, shooting into the Witch Elves and shooting into these units. But can Anticity stabilize these Sisters of Avalorn? He's got 1 Sister providing covering fire. A bit of a mistake from Daniken to not run over the archers back here. I think you need to get these chariots. Yeah, there you go. And go run all over the face of these Sisters of Avalorn. He needs to just put 1 chariot on each of them. He does manage to get some Witch Elves over here on the Sisters of Avalorn. These two are still shooting pretty effectively, and overall, it does look like the High Elves are pulling a little bit ahead. They're winning a lot of the frontline fights here. In the areas he wasn't going to win the front line, he uses the Sisters of Avalorn to shoot into the Witch Elves and really melt those down. I would imagine that Anticity is going to call in some heavy cavalry. Yeah, okay. And the Fireborn just to mow down the units chasing his sisters and get those units back online. That has got to be the case. And here we have 2 Rangers chasing, very, very stable. Can start rotating over towards Objective 2, which has been owned by the Dark Elves, I think, for a hot minute. But yeah, here it comes. So Witch Elves, really ripping up the Sisters of Avalorn, but the Fireborn are going to be coming in. Lances couched for Ulfwan for the Giant Donut. So there they go, and he does manage to take down those Witch Elves. But one of the archers is shut down for now, but Anticity still has 3. He's got 3 of his elite archers still in line, has pretty good ammunition. And now oh my god, the Supreme Sorcerer's got netted by Teclis. How long is the net active for? Another 7 seconds. Oh, that's a lot of damage! That's a lot of damage! Yeetus deletus, as you said. Oh my god. Talk about getting pincushion. She's like, how's been out too weak? She's got literally 37 HP. Is she going to get hit on the run? Oh, down she goes! And the Supreme Sorceress getting melted and absolutely sniped by the firepower of Surian. All right, that was really, really cool. I mean, that Dark Elf Lord is dirt cheap, but still getting rid of it is pretty big. Now, is Anticity in a situation where he could be pushed back? His build is very sniping focused. Maybe going to struggle at dealing with all the width on the battlefield, but I think he's definitely in a commanding position. Which else will defeat Sisters of Avalorn in melee combat? Yes, but the Sisters of Avalorn will obviously obliterate them from range. So, more firepower from the Sisters. They are back online, shooting into the Witch Elves. Anticity hanging comfortably onto the side objective. Granted, there's a little bit of a threat over there, so he's going to need to send something to go deal with that, whether it be a light cap unit. And his archery core still very much online. The Fireborn are doing some heavy lifting, running over Witch Elves, but they are being shot by Scourge Runner chariots. So Danikentrop is shooting in there and is going to be getting Coldwind Knights. And honestly, Dark Elves are not completely out of this game yet. Even though the Lord did get sniped, you never know. The Coldwind Knights here are going to rip apart the Fireborn. Sisters of Avalorn going in guard mode, ripping shots where they can, while Illyrian Reavers move over to try and peel off some of the Witch Elves here. We'll see if they can. A net is going to be needed right now. Try and net down these cold ones so they don't get into the archer line. In the back, some of the archers are being harried by Scourge Runner chariots. More archers being called out from Anticity in the trees right there. All right, and looking around the battlefield, it is still kind of a dodgy game. More Coldwind Knights being called in, swarming on the Rangers. Should be able to win that particular fight. The High Elves do have a really good core. They have a really good core. All right, so it is going to be Sisters, and multiple archer units in the backfield. Coldwind Knights are wavering. -15 leadership going to be broken, but Velociraptor Cavalry have swarmed in and gotten on top of the Sisters of Avalorn, so they are going to be pretty okay at killing them. They are anti-large, but they still have good enough stats that they can do work. So many of these archer units are being harried and being shut down because Anticity is not calling in spears or pointy sticks, mainly just archer units, so there's a chance he could be overwhelmed by the cavalry units and by the Scourge Runner chariots. Very, very close match. Danikentrop is actually bringing the value back right now, 3,700 against 8.9. So Anticity is certainly ahead on value, but not by as much as you would think. So Reaver's coming out. Looks like a Flock of Doom activated. Sisters of Avalorn trying to scatter different directions to get their firepower back online. Sisters are okay fighters in melee. They can fight against things like Coldwind Knights, but it's certainly not ideal. And Teclis is chasing down the Scourge Runner chariot. He's going to bonk it with his nerd staff. A couple archers in the tree. Illyrian Reavers are called out. The heavy cavalry, the Coldwind Knights are proving to be a big issue. This one Coldwind Knight unit does get locked down and is going to be eating some firepower, but most of the Sisters of Avalorn are offline for now, which is very tough. And High Elves are only holding on to one objective. Dark Elves are getting a points lead as this game does go on. And the Supreme Sorceress is really, really cheap, so if she gets sniped, it doesn't matter. You can just call in another one, basically. It's only like, 900 gold, 1,100 gold or something, so it's really not a big deal to call that in. Can the Kraken King scrap this game back, or is he in the pits? I don't know. It's hard to say. This one's really, really close, guys. It's very, very close. We're going to get Reavers into combat versus Coldwind Knights, which is going to be kind of bad for them, although there are some Sisters of Avalorn back online. So even just a small unit of 30 of these archers is going to be pretty effective at shooting against the Coldwind Knights there. So they're ripping shots in. Archers in the woods shooting away as well. I mean, the Dark Elf army is looking very thin on the battlefield. Anticity really needs some spears. He needs spears, or he needs something that could just fend off these Coldwind Knights and allow him to stabilize on the objectives. He's still in a winning position, I would say, but it's closer than you would think. It's closer than you would think. Engines, thank you for giving out 5 community subs. Greatly appreciate it, man. You rock, dude. That's really generous of you. Thank you guys so much. All right, so Objective Uno is owned by the High Elves, but the Dark Elves are are actually threatening it. We got Rangers and Archers coming online. Sisters of Avalorn, they didn't hear no bell. Value is 1,500 on these ones. These ones have also gotten 1,100 value shooting into the Cold Knights. And yeah, I mean, they're still going to be useful here. Even in their very beleaguered, tattered state with only a couple models, they can still put some hurt down. So net going down on the Cold ones here as the Reavers chase down the Scourge Runner Chariots. And the High Elves moving up to contest the objectives. But yeah, he better get on those points quickly, man. He better get on those points. All right, a lot of firepower coming down. Archers as well as Sisters of Avalorn are unleashing a big old salvo. And Teclis is getting ready to maybe provide a little bit of magic support. Granted, his net is on cooldown now. More Reavers are going to be on the way out. Middle objective needs to be captured soon. High Elves do have that objective. The middle objective is owned by the Dark Elves. Dark Elves really close to stealing this objective from the High Elves, which might actually give Daniken a pretty good chance of winning this. Yeah, he's literally just spamming out cavalry because Anticity is not making any spears. He's not making any units that can counter these. He probably didn't bring spears in his build. You know, I'm starting to think that that's maybe the case. So the Cav Core of Danikentrop can be really, really nasty. All right, so this objective stabilized. Oh, can you guys hear me? Was I muted that entire time? Still no audio? Oh shit, okay. So yeah, we just had the weirdest thing happen. Basically, my screen went black, my computer restarted, and then it like restarted instantly. It was very strange, and then it was like, I've never had that kind of a crash before. So I actually don't know what happened there. That was very weird. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the replay once it's done, and we're gonna do the replay. Yeah, we'll go through it. We'll fast forward through it and take a look at the final game and everything. Yeah. This computer is very new, so I don't think it was. I think it was one of those like freaking bullshit Windows updates thing. I think I denied it for too long, and it was like, yes, it is time. All right, I got the replay. So we're going to fire this up. Let's do that. And we're going to act as if nothing ever happened. So since most of you guys were here already, what we're going to do is we're going to fast forward through the early parts of the game and get to the point where we crashed and go from there. Yeah. I want to check the temperatures, maybe. I don't know. It was weird. Hey, Fidel, thank you for being a member. Yes, I appreciate that. I appreciate you, man. You've been around forever. A true OG. Okay. So here we are. My Bing search was out of date. Yeah, you can check the event viewer to see if it was a driver crash. Oh, dude, I don't even know how to do that. I am so unga bunga with technology. I'm so unga bunga. You guys have no idea. All right, you guys ready for some auction house commentary? Because that's what you're going to get in the beginning. You're going to get the auction house commentary. Power supply protections being triggered. Who knows? Who knows? All right, ladies and gentlemen. So welcome to the grand finals of today's tournament. It is going to be Anticity coming in with the sniping build. So as you guys just saw, he opens up with 4 Sisters of Avalorn backed up with nets. Going to be trying to snipe down the Witch Elves, the Cavalry, the Chariots, the Heroes. All that kind of good stuff as well. You should have sound on Twitch. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. There's no game sound because I'm in slow motion right now, so there shouldn't be any sound anyways. But very much a sniping build right there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be Dark Elves with an Infantry Swarm and Chariot support. Chariots good against Infantry as well as the Dragons and Monsters using the Scourge Runners. And now, get ready to fasten your seatbelts, and it's time for some auction house commentary as we get back to where we were. So over here, initially on the flank, we are going to be seeing the Archers, Sisters of Avalorn, getting really, really good value. Same thing on the other side as 2 Witch Elf units are immediately deleted, but what happens quickly after that is there's a little bit of penetration into the backfield. The Scourge Runner Chariot's able to find some homes. Witch Elves get on top of these Sisters of Avalorn, start getting big value. And Anticity kind of gets corralled a little bit over towards Objective 1, right? But during the heat of all that action, he does manage to stabilize 3 Archer units, which is quite big. He's calling in Reavers and the Fireborn to defend his various units. Scourge Runner Chariot's doing a really good job, though. They are shooting into the Fireborn right here and getting some great damage. But this is where the polarity of the game really, really starts to switch, right? We were watching this previously, and we saw that Anticity was starting to struggle a little bit at this point in the game. Basically, what was happening is his opponent was spamming Cold One Knights and various things like that and getting a lot of value. And because there's no spears, the Fireborn are really the only anti-large option that we're seeing here. Sisters of Avalorn mostly shut down right now. We do see these Sisters shut down, Archers, various units here. And it looks like we're just about where we were when the game crashed. Yeah, we saw the net go down on the Cold One Knight right there. And here we go. I think we're about ready to kind of go from where we were. So this is where the game crashed more or less, okay? We're here on Objective 1. It is owned by the High Elves. Objective number 2 and Objective number 3 are going to be still owned by the Druchii, but Anticity does have the opportunity to try and get them. Army compositions, as it currently stands, are going to be the Archers, Archers, and Archers over here, as well as Illyrian Reavers, okay? So not a lot to deal with the Velociraptor Cavalry. The Cold One Knights are essentially good against all of these units, right? They're going to be good against all those bad boys. Moving up, our Doomfire Warlocks. Doomfire Warlocks are very weak against Archers with only 15 armor, but they're very good at cutting through chaff units quickly, like Rangers and whatnot. And we do see a Flock of Doom going down from the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves are going to be gathering in their masses, just like Witches at Black Masses. They do indeed have a Sorcerer of Death's Construction here, as we have the Sorceress ready to go. And that's going to be a beautiful net by Anticity. So he does net down this squishier unit on the roster. He's going to be unleashing what's left of his Archer Corps here. So Archers, Archers, and Archers are going to be shooting as well. And we do see the Supreme Sorceress eating a little bit of firepower. But now, this is where the Kraken King is going to be able to scrap back the reverse sweep, right? He was kind of getting pushed back, and now he's got the Fireborn coming in, and they do get Pan's Impenetrable Pelt, which is a very, very nice play. And it looks like there is going to be other magic going down. Soul Blight from the Doomfire Warlocks are really cool, using the buffs on the Cold One Knights. But Fireborn are still just Giga Elite, even when being debuffed. And they are backed up by Techless as well. So Fireborn able to fold up those Velociraptor Cavalry as the other Velociraptors jump on top of multiple Archer units, but are tied down by chaff pieces as well. Objective number 2 here is owned by the High Elves. So they were able to get that, and this objective is also potentially going to be taken by Anticity here, because he has the value lead, and when you have the value lead on the field, what that usually equates to is the fact that you can, have more things elsewhere on the battlefield away from the main fighting, whereas when you're behind, you have to commit everything to trying to win the fights to get ground back. But it is looking like we didn't miss too much of the game. It's starting to look like Anticity is running away with this one. He's stabilizing with the Fireborn being out of the battlefield. Reavers just kind of swarming and overwhelming the Velociraptor Cavalry. The value difference, Danikentrop getting his Lord sniped by the Sisters, losing so many Witch Elves on the initial onslaught. It almost got there, but not quite the case. And now I think that we're going to be seeing Danikentrop tap out here soon. As we fast forward, all they have is 1 Cavalry in it. Okay, we didn't miss much. The game was essentially over. But the Kraken King is going to be winning it. GG, well played to Anticity for winning today's tournament with the dreaded Quad Sister of Avalorn build. How badass was that? That was freaking awesome, dude. I loved seeing every second of that build. That was very, very fun. That was a good one indeed. All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. So now we're going to have the post-game show. We're just going to hang out, Yeah, spears would have been helpful, I think. I think it would have made it a little bit easier. Having like 2 spearmen to move up in the late game would have just solidified the points, but he still was able to work through the adversity and get it done with what he had, which is very, very good. Yeah, the sister build was freaking cool, man. That was so badass. Look at that. 2200, 1800, 13, as well as 1000. And yeah, great match. Great match. That was very fun. Both players, but it was witch elves, sisters, this was very, very much a lady power stream. The girls put in work today. All right, so now we're going to hang out for a couple minutes. The tournament is officially over, and we are going to do a little Q&A. So if you guys are new to the game, you have questions about matchups or questions about the game in general, we're just going to hang out for 5, 10, 15 minutes, however long you guys ask questions, really. And we will answer. So here we are. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you for sticking around. And we are all good. Dana consent. Okay. Cool. So just talking to the players real quick. I'm going to go finalize the tournament while we hang tight. And there we go. Yeah, it's doing good, Engines. When I take breaks like this and do casting streams, it tends to be a little bit more, easy on the hand. No FFA today. We're just gonna answer questions. My wife and I are going to catch a movie, so I'm gonna need to go relatively soon. We're gonna go see 28 Years Later, which I'm super excited about. I'm super excited. Turn, if you were a hot dog, would you? No, probably not. Yeah, no. You gotta self-preservation, man. What are the most high-level tournament players so nice and not salty? We foster our community here in Total War. We have a very strict policy against toxicity and like bad sportsmanship. If somebody is like a toxic element in tournaments and is like rude and abrasive, and they usually get banned from events. So we really put in a lot of effort to keep it very positive and make sure everybody feels welcome. If you had any 1v1 legendary lord in Warhammer, who would it be? If you had to 1v1 any legendary lord. Oh shit. Let me think about that. Hold on. Have you got a Patreon for tournament? We do have a Patreon, which I literally just put into tournament prizes and supporting Total Tavern and things like that. Yeah. Eventually, I'm going to update the Patreon, and if you guys want to support tournament prizes more, we can do that. But for now, it is what it is. All right, let's see here. How do you feel about Swiftling charge speed? Buff spells usually aren't the best, Ragnarok. They're very niche. Some buff spells are good, but generally direct damage is a little bit stronger. Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for the movie. Count Game saying the most toxic guy I met in 2 tourneys was one guy saying he was sad he lost all 4 games. Such a wholesome community. Yeah, that's not even. That's just feeling sad. Stronghold Crusader. I'd take a look at it. Yeah. Probably one of the. I mean, are they allowed to use magic if I have to fist fight somebody? I mean, a Skaven, man. And do I get weapons or do they just How does that work? You need to give me more details. If it's just us in a pit wearing loincloths, I'd probably want to fight one of the Skaven, but even still, that's not great. Although, if a wizard's not allowed to use magic, it'll obviously be them, right? Which faction has the most jacked and shredded front line? Ooh, that's got to be Nurgle, Khorne. Nurgle and Khorne have pretty Giga Chad front lines. Probably those guys, yeah. Nurgle in multiplayer is very hard to play in one of the lower end factions, but they can still compete and win tournaments. You need to practice them. It's not a faction you can easily just pick up and win with. You need to really know the matchups. Yeah. You need to know the matchups. Just fist fight, no magic. Oh, Gorst all day, dude. Yeah. All day. Can you explain how different dot spells work, like percentage based versus X? Yeah, so... Okay, let's pull up Spirit Leech and we can explain this. Where the hell is Spirit Leech? We have Spirit Leech. Death Magic. I believe the Dowie Zar do have it. The Chaos Dwarves. So typically you can tell just by reading the tooltips. It says if you look down, causes damage to combatants, strong versus characters, strong versus single combatant. So the lower the model count, the more effective Spirit Leech is going to be against the unit. Whereas if it says something like better against, vice versa, like Fate of Buna, there's a really nitty gritty science to it. I'm not the best at explaining that, but typically you can follow the tooltips and it's more or less accurate. Yeah. Yeah, Brandon, that's funny. Can you show how you would play Beastmen versus Dwarves? Yeah, let's do it. All right. No, this is the perfect time. You're not being annoying at all. So Beastmen versus Dwarves. Okay. So I would probably go with a really haggard chaff-centric front line just to spread on the battlefield and cause havoc, right? You want mass raiders because you need to deal with the harpies, centaurs, throwing axes to deal with gyrocopters. You're going to need harpies in reserve to deal with gyros. I'd probably just bring 2. Just bring the regular ones and the ROR ones. It's going to be your play. Yeah. Okay, let's do that. If you were a follower of the Chaos God, which would you dedicate yourself to? So if I'm thinking realistically, probably Tzeentch, because, you know, at least Tzeentch has like cool mysteries and shit. I mean, Nurgle and Khorne is just hell on earth, basically. And Slaanesh is obviously torturous hell. I mean, Tzeentch is too in its own way, but yeah, if you had to choose like the best outcome. Okay, so double harpies. You're going to want to, so against dwarves, yeah, you're going to want to max out on centaurs with great weapons. And then piggy herds are pretty good too. You could bring some bestigors, like even a shielded minotaur isn't bad, but I do like the bestigors. Yeah, it's going to be good. So you can do double bestie if you want to. Probably having them in the starting army is going to be the way to do it. Now, for your lord choice, you can go Doombull, but probably just going Malagor and just flying around and spamming Flock of Doom is going to be good. Yeah, I think that's probably got to be the way. Because Malagor can also chase gyrocopters, which is just like god tier usage in this matchup. So we get him, and we're going to cut some abilities, so we don't need this. We don't need that, really. Don't really need that. Wild Heart's okay. We could probably honestly cut almost everything here and go something like this. So this build would be fine, and then in reserves, you're going to want to max out on Pestigors because they're armor piercing, so they're quite good against dwarves. And yeah, so this feels pretty good. You have answers against most things in the dwarf roster. You have cost-effective armor piercing. One thing that could be nice is like cut you and cut like one of these gores maybe and get like Butchers of Kalkengard as like a big finisher punisher unit. But something like this would be good. Yeah. Is there a hierarchy in the community? Not really, I think. I don't know. Everyone just kind of does their own thing. All right. So hopefully that helps you. So next question. We have, how would you recommend learning the Empire? Lost 3 times in a row with Empire, switched to Khorne with the Bloodwake Berserker and just shred everything in melee. Empire is much harder to play. Yeah, they're very much a finesse faction. You need to really have specific builds, whereas Khorne, you can just throw Unga Bunga at people. So I would recommend go back and watch some of my single faction tournaments where I played the Empire. You can even see a couple where I won the tournament, and kind of, you can get ideas of how to play them. Yeah, they're just much more complicated than Khorne, so don't beat yourself up. It's hard. Yeah. All right, so Norska versus Vampire Counts. Okay, so Norska versus Vampire Counts. I'm not great at Norska. I'm okay. I know the basics, so we'll give you the basics. Norska versus Vampire Counts versus Count Chocula, eh? Norska. But they're going to be getting updated soon, right? So what I tell you right now is going to be changing in a couple weeks. Probably be better just to come back to me then. But Berserkers are really good in this matchup, I think. So front line of Berserkers, you can get a couple spears too, is not bad. You can get 2 javelins if you want to, or you could just play the Horse Master composition. I personally really like throwing axes, but you can do basic Marauder Horsemen are probably going to be fine. Okay, you're going to want Throg as your Lord choice. Cut you and cut you. Then you're going to want a Firecaster, for sure. You're going to want a Burning Head caster to cut through the chaff units. You can get Fireball too. It's not bad utility in Burning Head. Cut that and get you on a little horse. And from here, we can get just 1 Chaff Marauder, basically, just to hold the back point. So probably something like this is fine out of the gates. In reserves, you're going to want the Frost Wolves. They're quite good. Armored Skin Wolves, probably an okay choice. I think you can go with regular ones, though. Provide a little bit of utility there. I am actually a big enjoyer of Famir Warriors. I think Famir Warriors are pretty cool. Mixing in just like 1 can be nice. Beasts of Tashnar are pretty much an auto take. Baseline Marauders aren't bad just for getting them out in the field, although more Berserkers are probably welcome. Marauder Champions can be functional too, and I think more Horsemen would be nice. Now, which ones do we want to get? Boom, boom. Yeah, so that's going to be the Horsemen. We have enough for a Horse Master, so we can kill big things with our Horsemen, Skin Wolves, and Famir. We have anti-infantry via the Berserkers. Shaman Sorcerer will Burning Head through the chaff. And Trolls are okay here, but the low leadership Swickle. Now, this is only one way to play against them. Mammoths are also viable, too. You can play Monster Mash. But I think this is probably fine. I think a single Javelin isn't a bad utility piece. Yeah, I don't think that's terrible. And cut the Berserker, and that'll allow us to go a little bit wider here. So we can get the Iceworm Marauders and then a regular one of you guys. Yeah. Probably an extra spear is not bad for dealing with like Crypt Horrors and Cavalry and stuff. So probably something like this. Yeah, Mammoths are good here, too. This is just what I would play, probably, just because I'm comfortable with this. But Mammoths are very solid. Having a Warshrine Mammoth with leadership can give you very good blob fighting, but, you know, teach their own. Teach their own. All right. Bretonnia and Vampire Count's build tips, not against each other, just in general. So with Bretonnia, I'm going to point at one thing that pretty much will carry your roster, and his name is Gilles Le Breton. It's the Green Knight. Always bring the Green Knight. He is an absolute menace. So with Bretonnia, build tips, you want to bring Green Knight in like every single build, just about, because he's such a brutal assassin and really tough to kill. And then you want to open up with an infantry-based army, depending on what you're facing. If it's like a large-based army, you know, but men-at-arms backed up by Grail Reliques, with cavalry in reserve. So cavalry is usually your starting army. You want it to be Grail Relique, infantry, Lords, heroes, and then in reserves, it's mainly just cavalry units. Yeah. Because opening mass cav with Bretonnia is probably fine for a high-level player, but for like beginner players, I wouldn't recommend it. Would the Miststalkers ever have a place? Yeah, Miststalkers are actually good in a couple of matchups. They're very good against Nurgle. Miststalkers are a good niche unit against demonic factions because they do magic damage and they have stock. So if like somebody's defending an objective with like Bloodletters, Plague Bearers, any sort of Khorne, Armored Infantry, Nurgle, whatever, mixing in the Female Warriors is quite good. So yeah, I totally like them in a couple matchups. Okay, let's see here. Did you ban players for their no boy, he's still, I'm sure he's still around. No, we didn't ban him. I mean, obviously some folks would be, if their names are very, you know, rough, yes, but in that case, no. Okay. Yeah, Blessed Field Trebuchets. No, I don't recommend those. Yeah. Tomb Kings are very good, Ox. They're an incredibly strong faction. Tomb Kings are super capable of winning tournaments. It's just, you know, it's what people are into. You know, there's not too many Tomb Kings mains, which is strange. I know that Own Goal is very good at them. There's a couple other high-level players. You will see Tomb Kings getting picked in the really sweaty tournaments that are going to be taking place in a couple weeks. So you will see that. For sure. Vampire Counts are incredibly good too. They have a 60% win rate right now. Their Vampire Counts are a very strong faction. They require finesse to play. They're a little hard to unga bunga. You need to really understand like how their units overlap. Like how, if you look at Vampire Count units, for example, where the hell is this? Like you need to know like, okay, this corpse cart is going to be giving vigor, melee attack, and unholy lodestone. I need to have it positioned in a place where it's going to hit as many units as possible. You know, they're very much a synergistic positioning based faction, but if you can get that down, they're very strong. Seekers seem fine. They're still very strong, but I have not had any problems in the couple games I played against them. They feel like glass cannons that still do a lot of damage, but aren't as brutal. So I'm not having too many issues with Seekers and Heart Seekers. But we're going to see when we have our big competitive season finals if they're still overtuned, for sure. All right, guys. I think that's it, right? I think we're chilling. I appreciate all you guys sticking around. That's going to be wrapping up today's stream. If you enjoyed what you saw, please do drop a like on the way out on YouTube and consider following over on Twitch if you're not. But big congrats to the Kraken King, showing that he is the king of the donut. He has brought glory to the island of Oathwan. And yes, GG, well played. That's going to be it for today. I appreciate you all. I'm going to go hang out with my smoking hot wife. And we're going to go watch 28 Years Later, and hopefully it's going to be good. Yeah, Paul, someday maybe. Maybe not in the immediate future, but for future Total War titles, probably yes. Adios, do videnia. You guys freaking rule. It was a lot of fun talking about bread with all of you guys today and deep-throating Subway sandwiches. Always a good time. But that is going to be it. Adios, and we will see you all on the other side.